Okay, people. So it is an honor tonight for me to have the gentleman that I have on my channel, guys. This brother, I first heard about him through a friend of mine named Amisho or Sho Baraka. We went to Tuskegee together, um, and he was, Amisho. We used to sit and I know Amisho's real heavy in the studying and stuff like that. You guys have probably seen Sho Baraka on different things. I think he'd have been on CNN, Fox News. Real sharp, intelligent brother.
Yes.
He's a gospel rapper. I don't know if he even calls himself that. I don't know. I have to talk to him. But anyway, he told me about Jude 3, and I heard about her. And the first video I saw was of this gentleman right here by the name of Brother Berean. And I was out eating one day, and I was on a date, and I was rude. After I had to apologize, and I was like, "Man, this brother dropping some heat. Who is this brother?" Right? And he was real knowledgeable. I was just impressed because some of this stuff I knew just from being in college. I used to be going back and forth with all these hotel people all the time. Back in like 99, 98, we used to debate all the time. And I knew his brother was like, I knew enough to know he knew what he was talking about. Like this guy was really well learned, and he also knew their stuff. And I was just impressed with this brother, his level of knowledge, his insight into the things of God, the scriptures, things like that. And so I've been following him, and he talks about he has videos, the conscious madness, and some of the stuff. He would get clips and play these clips, and I would be like, "What in the world? Is these people saying?" Like he'll play Young Pharaoh saying some crazy stuff. Where did this stuff come from? But I kind of gave up on the country stuff a while ago. But a lot of brothers are out here pushing this stuff, and it's very strong. And you guys have heard me from time to time say stuff about the conscious community. You've heard me say a million times, the conscious community this, the conscious community that. And I was talking to a couple of potential students today, and they kind of was reiterating some of that same stuff. I think what's happening now is people are starting to get tired and fighting back with some of these Facebook warriors and people like that. So, hey, what's up, Musa? So, without further ado, I would like to introduce some, reintroduce to others. Some of his people probably here tonight. We're gonna get a few people over the course, hope Lord willing, that'll come on here and check this out. I want to introduce Brother Berean.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you. We appreciate being on. I'm trying to send that link over there to them right now. It's interesting. I remember a couple of months back I was watching Sinetta, and somebody asked on Sinetta, well, I'm coming into this. Where can I really go right now? This might have been, I don't know, almost a year now. Where can I go right now? He said, and he confessed, he said, man, basically the conscious community is dead. Everybody's just doing their own thing. You got different people out here just putting out information and, just got channels doing whatever they're doing. But he threw it all. He been out there dropping information and some good things that they have. But I think a lot of times, but because we're dealing with a lot of people, and we haven't been getting the whole history about Christianity, people been switching the history up. And they've been feeding us what they want to feed us. Nation of Islam, they come in with one thing, and the More Science Temple, they come in with another thing. We got all type of stuff, and we got these different various versions of camps. One West broke up, and we got different Hebrew Israelite camps all over, especially up here in New York. And that's kind of and that's a big problem. That's a big thing, and everybody's promoting their doctrine. But one thing that people said, people would say, they would often get on Facebook and be like, man, we got to put all of this stuff down and we got to follow one thing. Well, that's not what we've been doing historically. We didn't do that on the continent of Africa. Even in West Africa, we haven't nowhere, no time in the history of the human race have all of us, of melanated people, followed one belief system. So we got some people over here pushing the Kemetic sciences, and John Henry Clark and different people, Dr. Ben, they said we need to go back to that. And that's why these Europeans are trying to rip Egypt out of Africa and make it the Middle East, because they're trying to rip a spiritual system out of the country and, things of that nature. So it's been a war, but never have there been a time that we have been all following one belief system. Even when we deal with the Indians over here in America, the Cheyenne, the Hopi, the different different Indian tribes, they had different creation stories. They had different belief systems, and you know, they fought each other, or whatever. Even before the white man came in, they didn't have what we're looking for. Some of us are looking for a unity. All of us in America, we're looking for a unity in every single thing. And for us to move together as a people, I don't think we all have to follow the same spiritual system. And that's the problem. A lot of people, they trying to, oh, you got to come follow my religion. I follow your religion. No, when you deal with some European Jews, let's say, for example, if they're liberal, if they're Orthodox, you know, you have Jews that are atheists out here and they just say they're Jewish by bloodline or whatever. That's a whole nother story. But when it comes to their issues and when it comes to any type of discrimination against them, they're going to band together. Young, old, Orthodox, conservative, it doesn't make a difference. They're going to band together. And I think those are the two things that people have a problem with us in our community, that we all have to be in the Nation of Islam, or we all have to be Christians to band together for certain causes that we're fighting against, like police brutality, certain injustices that we're dealing with. You know, we don't have to agree on everything to unite for certain things. So I think that could be kind of where the problem is coming in right there. Besides that, my straight thing is people banging on Christianity because a lot of them don't know the history. I used to tell people, I said, listen, a lot of folk ain't running around here reading no books, but we got books out here, and some of the books are just talking nonsense. Just because it's in a book, that's what I tell people. Just because it's in a book and you read it does not mean that it's right.
Hold on, because he going in already. Like he already. Let me introduce my homeboy, and then I'm gonna let you go. You know what I'm saying? So guys, you in for a treat. I'm telling you right now, you guys are in for a treat. So first of all, I want to introduce my homeboy, Berean 74, aka I call him franchise 7-footer. I played at Tuskegee with him. All of us kind of know each other. I met this brother, and he had already kind of dedicated his life to the Lord, but he kind of, I guess he got to Tuskegee and we all kind of connected, and we've been boys for like the last 20 some odd years, man. And I just want to introduce him as well. Go ahead, shout him out.
Oh, he went to Tuskegee. Hey.
He did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did. As I was saying before we even went live, it's really an honor for me. I've been watching Brother Berean for some years. I'm glad I found him on YouTube, because at first I started off watching the conscious community, like he said, Sanada. And my biggest grievance was how the camps, the Hebrew Israelites, I understand, and I follow a lot of the teachings. But at the end of the day, Christ is king. And so I was always watching it, Sanada 101, Black News TV, or whatever it's called. And, you know, I would always see these brothers, they just bashing Christianity, bashing it. And I happened to come across one of Brother Berean's TV, one of his videos, and it was about the Sunday seminary. And then I got to digging in and how he was just defending the faith, and he was just calling them out like, I don't see any of y'all. I'm itching to debate y'all. Y'all doing all these debates and you're bashing this. But I love the way he stood up for the faith, man. And it was just amazing to me. And then I started really following him and started listening and really getting what he was speaking. And he had so much knowledge, but I never saw Saneto or any of those guys come back and in response to anything that he said. And I never saw them in the fact that I knew they knew of him from the way he spoke of them. And I always found that odd, that why they don't never make an invitation. They'll invite Pharaoh.
They about to get at it, right? Right, bro.
Oh yeah, Saturday in Philadelphia, my man Eric Mason Church. Jabari's going to come in there, and Dr. Vince Bantu. Dr. Vince Bantu, he specialized in Kemetic and Christianity coming out of Egypt in the first century, and the history of that. He's a professor, and this is what he do. But he's going to get it on with Jabari, and we got some other debates lined up. We were supposed to have one big one down here in New York I think it was Garfield and Sinetta. He was trying to bring a couple of people together. Maybe they were trying to figure out who they're going to use. Definitely Garfield and Jabari and, a few people. But we're going to do it. They figured out they'll do it a different way. So the first debate is going to be with Jabari this Saturday at 2:00 in the afternoon, and Dr. Vince Bantu on is Christianity the white man's religion? Now, a lot of things that we do that people, we have a problem with people is a lot of people are making comments. Anybody can talk. Anybody can say anything. One of the main things that I push to people is that when you start if you're dealing with Van Sertima, you're dealing with Dr. Ben, you're dealing with Ray Hagan's, Young Pharaoh, Cyrus Sutton City, if you're dealing with anybody you're dealing with, when they're talking, are they using primary sources? I was just on the other night on SciNet about 4 or 5 nights ago with Prince.
You told me about that. You told me. I didn't know what that was.
That's Malachi Z. York's son. Prince Amu, his name, that's the name he's going by. And we asked him because he said he was a master in the mysteries and he traveled and he came up and his father's not the only smart one in the group. So we asked him, what's the primary source? Where are you getting this information from? And it's crazy, but a lot of master teachers, a lot of these people out here, they say they've been doing research, they've been dealing with their higher self, and they've been dealing with all the masters, and they'll quote Phil Valentine and all of this stuff, but they won't tell us what a primary source is. Where are you getting this information from? If I'm talking, if Vince Bantu is talking, if Garfield is talking, if Sinetta's talking, Ray Hagan is talking, and we're talking about something that happened back in Kemet or in the 1st century, we're secondary sources. We have to cite the information that we're getting it from. Where's the primary source? Was it Strabo? Was it Eusebius? Was it Herodotus? Who walked there and saw the priest in Kemet and wrote about them? They're the primary source. If you're saying stuff that the primary source is not saying, it's make-believe. We got a lot of stuff that's coming from Gerald Massey and European Freemasons, Napoleon and them, and they say that Isis was born of a virgin and Heru had 12 disciples. And he died and rose again on a cross. We don't have that in the pyramid text, coffin text. We don't have that in the Papiria Annie. We don't have that in any primary sources coming out of Kemet. This is where the problem comes in. We got it from Gerald Massey and some white folk in the 1800s, but we don't know where those sources are in Egypt. Show us in Egypt. So now when people, I don't care what you say, they're dealing with Ashwakwezi. I went to the pyramids. That don't mean you're an Egyptologist. That don't mean you're shut up. You can't fool me. You can fool them other people. So we got to ask now, even people that claim that they're reading the glyphs. I don't want to read it. I don't want nobody to read the glyphs to me. I don't want nobody to translate the glyphs to me if they're promoting a doctrine. That's why I often tell Christians, I said a lot of times I read stuff that on the history of Christianity from atheists and other people. Because if you just getting it from me, I have agenda because I'm a Christian. So I have an agenda. Ashwakwezi got an agenda. So he want to tear down the Christ story so he can say it was a virgin birth and an angel appeared. Show me that. I want somebody that's Chinese. I want another Egyptologist that's an atheist to translate that hieroglyph and tell me that what you saying is what that's saying.
He going in.
It's not saying the same thing. So they're believing a lot of what Ashwakwezi and Ray Hagan saying. They believe in Phil Valentine by faith, blind faith. Remember, these guys aren't even Egyptologists. Because you go over there, don't make you an Egyptologist. This is where we having a lot of problems. So when we start my thing is, if you're a master, and I was upset. Now I got the text right here. Sinetta hit me the other day. He said, I can't lie. You went in last night. But my thing was like, Sai, you didn't even stop him and say, yo, answer the brother's question. What is the primary source? He going into the history, the masonry, the Eastern Star. So I'm asking him, when did the degrees come out? He's trying to act like this knowledge is so deep, it's above you, you peasant. And that's how a lot of people in the conscious community come to us. They pontificating this knowledge like they better than us because they read a book, they read ISIS paper. Oh, I read Black Dot. You know more than me. And it just become it's just egos. You just throwing a lot of stuff out there. You're not really teaching me. Go back and explain it. Then when I tell them to go back and explain it, you just love that white man and that white man Christianity. No, I'm asking you for primary source. Is you getting this from the Book of the Dead? Is this coming from the Book of the Coming Forth by Day? Sir, what translation? Tell me what chapter I'm going to get this from out of the Book of the Dead. Where is it coming from?
Hold on. Let me interject one thing.
Lord, that white man, I bet you giving the pastor your money. That ain't got nothing to do with the answer.
Can I interject? Let me interject one thing. Okay, so because I told y'all he gonna bring that fire. Now I told y'all fire. Hey, that's right, Corey. So let me say this. I actually read. I bought an audio book of the Book of the Dead, right? So I know a guy who says that stuff too, and so I listened to it, and it was like Osiris was thrown into a sarcophagus or something, and he was thrown into the river, and he wound up in the palace, and a tree grew up around it.
Around him, yes.
Isis came in, and she tried to resurrect him, and somebody walked in and caught her at the time that she was doing it. And so I was like, is the baptism him floating in the sarcophagus going down the river? Is that the baptism? And I was like, this is because this story was so different. This is the oldest original stuff. I don't talk about it because it's like I really don't get into these debates no more. I try to stay away from them. I don't even go into this on my channel, but I wanted to use my channel as an opportunity to try to let people know about you, let people know, because to me I don't see no reason why this brother shouldn't be getting a lot of money thrown his way. You know what I'm saying? As far as the stuff, this brother's very knowledgeable, understands the game. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let you keep going. Franchise, you have anything to say right quick?
Can he hear you?
He probably doing something, but yeah. So let me ask you this: I just heard you mention something a second ago about the white man's religion, right? Now I'm very familiar with Saint Maurice. Who was it? Philip in Ethiopia.
Yes.
I'm very familiar with this stuff, right? In fact, I heard a lot about Carthage being,
yes, theological center.
Exactly, and a lot of us don't know this stuff. Even the Coptic Church goes back that far.
Yes.
Christianity been in Africa since its inception, since it started. Since literally maybe a few months or weeks after it started, the day of Pentecost. You know what I'm saying? But can you speak to that as far as this being a white man's religion? Because they always say that.
Well, when they saying it's a white man religion, they have a problem because they're mixing things up. When we start dealing with the European image of Jesus, the European image of Jesus came around in the Renaissance period for white folk. That's when white folk were waking up, and they just made images. They made everybody God, the angels, Abraham, all of the biblical stories that were popular in Europe. They made the pictures according to their own likeness. But that doesn't have anything to do with the text that existed before that. So they're reading pictures and portraits into a text, and it doesn't belong there. I understand why a lot of people are saying this, but it's all taking place really because of a lack of knowledge. You know what the rich say about that? My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And because of the white image of Jesus, we had people like Noble Drew Ali, W.D. Fard, Clarence 13X, Malcolm X. We had people that came on the scene later on, and they started showing us a white Jesus. Even the Hebrew Israelite camps right now, they'll propagate every Saturday on a corner with a white image of Jesus. The white image of Jesus came 1,500 years after the fact. And people are using it. That's how come on my channel, I often tell people, you got to have timelines. You got to know what came first. Carly B didn't invent hip-hop. Not once you understand who Salt and Pepper was, Heavy D, Africa, Bambaataa, Zulu Nation. Once you understand the formulation of hip-hop, you can't say Carly B invented hip-hop. Bobby Shmurda invented hip-hop. Nelly or 50 Cent invented hip-hop because we got Grandmaster Flash. We got people from an earlier time. So you don't have to really be a scholar, but we got to use common sense and know to ask questions. We like detectives when we're studying this religion, when we're asking this stuff, we're like detectives. But some people would come on the scene, like once a week I get people saying, and there's memes floating around. We often vet memes because a lot of people don't know how to do that. People would come on and they would be like, oh, only Allah got different versions. Why are there so many different versions of the Bible? And I got to, slow stuff a lot, brother. Pump your brakes. I got to slow them down because no two Egyptian books of the dead were the same. Whatever you can afford. Now, if you're a pharaoh, you got plenty chapters. They were all magical spells. You got all of your magical spells in the Book of the Dead. If you're a poorer person and an uncle threw you a chapter or two, that's going to be yours, and they would bury that with you. You got to remember, when we start dealing with Kemetic spirituality, the afterlife was only for Emotep, was only for the pharaoh, and wasn't for the poor people, because they couldn't afford a bombing. They couldn't afford to mummify their bodies, because that's the only way you could live in the afterlife. That was the doctrine, and the priests controlled the doctrine. Years later, when it started coming closer to the time of Alexander the Great and them coming to the first millennial, then we'll see more of the people dealing with the Book of the Dead. We'll see more people in the afterlife.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Can I ask something? Okay, so I never understood that question, because me and Franchise, when we was in college, we had a concordance. That's why I know what the word koinonia means.
A lot of people don't even know what a concordance is. That's
use it on a daily basis.
Diadasko, teach, all these different. So whenever I did an exhaustive study of a particular subject, I would always be able to go into the concordance, see the original Greek, the original Hebrew, and be able to know. So when I hear these people say these things, I'm like, dude, you do realize I could just go look at the original word
and translate this thing myself.
Yeah, I don't get why people say stuff like that. Like, it's confusing, because I'm like, just about not all of them. Some of them are translated phrase by phrase. Some of them are translated word for word.
Yes, dynamic equivalent. They have different types of translations. Yes.
Exactly. So when I hear people say that, I don't even get that question. I'm like, dude, you do understand it's one translation from the original.
Yes.
I don't get why people think that.
That's where the problem comes in. But the thing is, like I was saying, they don't even know when they say different versions. There's plenty different versions. We just have the papyri of Annie. And Annie was a priest working down in the temple. So Annie made an elaborate copy of the Book of the Dead. And that's what we had, I think, on Budgeon. When they stole it, they chopped it up in pieces and took it out, and it ended up in the British Museum. But that's just one version. We can go back and we can find, and even in digging, they found different copies, different spells that they didn't even have in the papyri of Annie. So some had more chapters, less chapters, or more spells. We just call them chapters and verses, like, because being that people equating it with the Bible, but it was only nothing but magical spells. That's the main thing of the Book of the Dead when we're dealing with the pyramid text. These are spells for when you die and you go into the underworld and you're fighting the demons. You're fighting the forces that's trying to keep you from going before the hall of judgment to be judged, so your heart can be weighed. That's all it is. So when people start saying, "Oh, the Bible, the Book of the Dead is the original Bible," I understand what they're saying, but you don't find no turning water into wine stories, feeding 5,000. None of that stuff is in no text in Egypt. But Gerald Massey tried to make a connection in the 1800s, and he was an amateur Egyptologist. So later on, when we get people in the conscious community beefing with the white man and they want to lift up Africa, John Henry Clark and everybody just started using Gerald Massey. Dr. Ben, he got up in Cornell using Gerald Massey. Later on, they checked the transcript. Where Dr. Ben, where your degree is at? Where you got your degree? If you signed that, it was at Dr. Ben's funeral. If you look at Dr. Ben's eulogy, they said he had honorary degrees. That ain't what he told Cornell when he stuck up in Cornell. So a lot of these people, they start building off of Gerald Massey and Kersey Graves. Osiris was born, he died, and he rose on the third day. He was born of a virgin, and so was Krishna. Where you get that at? Devaki already had 7 kids. Krishna, according to the primary text, Krishna was the 8th child. Mm-hmm. Where they doing this at?
Right.
Born in a prison. He was born in a prison.
They was under house arrest. Thank you. But they don't know that, and so they're listening to Gerald Massey, and then John G. Jackson came up from down south, and he started writing in Harlem, and he didn't go back and check on Kersey Graves. He did the same thing. So if we look right now, even if we deal with Infidel Radio, if you get on Infidel Radio right now on the website, you'll see Richard Carrier. Richard Carrier is only one of about 4. Well, he's the only one that I know besides Price that have a degree. He got a PhD as master's and PhD as in history. So we tell people, go to someone that's a source that got a degree in the field. The guy that's tinting windows, I'm not going to let him put the transmission in the car, because that ain't what he do. He tint windows and put radios in. You got to go to the professionals. A dentist can't tell me I'm dying of cancer. I got to go to the professional. So all we say is go to the professional. So Richard Carrier, who's a professional, who got a PhD in history. This is his thing. Because I can't say Omar Johnson got a PhD in child psychology and he's an Egyptologist. He's speaking like he's an authority. We confused in the hood. We doing too much in the hood. We got the girl that's doing weed. We got her building houses. No. We got to backpedal on some of this and try to figure this out. So my thing is, if Richard Carrier on Infidel Radio, he said, he tell atheists, he said, when y'all are debating with Christians, please don't use Kersey Graves. He's no much more better than Timothy freaking Peter Gandy. He's an atheist. He don't got nothing to lose. He hate the Bible and Christians, but he gonna tell you straight up that's pseudo. Don't be running around here talking about Krishna born of a virgin and Heru born of a. It's madness and it's in no original text. But yet we see it floating around on the internet. It don't work. It don't work among historians in the university, but it's working on the internet like the internet's a world in and of itself. Even when you deal with people like Bart Ehrman, he has a PhD from Princeton University. He teach New Testament. Textual criticism is his thing, but he's an atheist. He said he's an atheist, but he said he was looking around and he got on the radio and he said people are running around here quoting him saying that Jesus never existed. He said, what are y'all talking about? Jesus is more attested to than anybody else coming out of the first century.
Hold on. I got somebody. So somebody says, what specific parts of Christianity was in Africa first? Please be specific. So just let me jump on that first. Let me jump on a little bit.
Before Christianity, if you read Acts the 8th chapter, an Ethiopian came up. Some people believe he was a proselyte. He was an Ethiopian Hebrew. He came up to Jerusalem for the worship. This is Acts the 8th chapter, and he was reading the prophet Isaiah. There were scrolls that already existed in Africa, and the Spirit told Philip to go join himself to the chariot. And as he was going and joining himself to the chariot, he said, who is this prophet speaking about, of himself or another? And the Bible says that he began to explain what we would call today the gospel to him from Isaiah, and the Ethiopian said, look, there's a body of water. What does hinder me to be baptized? One of the first converts into Christianity in the first century we see was an Ethiopian. This is 500 years before, 850 years before they even built the Vatican. There was no Vatican. There were no white priests. There were no popes at this time. And Ethiopia, we see that the belief system of Israel was already prevalent. We also have this among the writings of the Ethiopian believers, what we call the glory of the kings of Ethiopia.
Hold on. So this brother saying there's no place in Africa where there was a literal belief in a Savior, Jesus Christ, named y'all need to cut it out. Okay, brother, get out of here.
Let him show.
He telling me that. He telling us that.
Let him stay. Let him show and prove that. Come show and prove that. If you're going to argue the letter J.
I'm confused. So he telling me that Saint Maurice, which was an African.
Thank you.
Do you know about Saint Moses? Like, this is like you coming and you just pulling stuff. This is the conscious community, though.
That's what they do.
They bully people. They shame you, and they think the average Christian don't know enough history to get at you and say enough stuff. And see, that's the thing. Like, I used to try to look stuff up, and they'll say Christianity got. So you mean tell me they had a gospel, Christ, everything? You had the whole kingdom of Carthage.
That's because they want to use semantics. They want to use the semantics. Yeshua is real. Jesus is real. It's just a different name, but it's all the same.
But no, let him get on the history of the Ethiopian church, the Coptic church, Lalibellum. Professor James Small, y'all like Professor Small if y'all on Sinetta. Professor James Small got a 2-hour lecture at Sinetta House on the big screen TV dealing with Christianity in Africa. He bear witness with the Church of Lalibellum. He bear witness with all this history that this thing is ancient, before Rome was built, before the white folk took control of Christianity. Because
Correct.
I have to admit, when we start talking, we got to admit certain things. White folk did take control of the religion later on when they established what's known as the Roman Catholic Church. But how many hundreds of years later after the fact was that? After they killed up, after they murdered, because they killed and murdered in the first century. When you got people like young Pharaoh running around here talking about Christianity, Ray Hagen talking about Christianity didn't exist, Judaism is an AD religion, it's madness. We have outside evidence. That's what we said. We got internal evidence and we have outside evidence. Nobody disputes that Rome was set, when the city was set on fire, Nero blamed it on the Christians in 64 AD. You do know 64 AD is the first century. How are they trying to say Constantine invented Christianity in 325 when 64 is 320 years earlier? People were.
So he's saying, hold on, he's saying he says, please name one African written Christian manuscript.
All of the manuscripts come from Africa. What is he talking about? The only place you can find those, even when matter of fact, y'all gonna say he's gonna make me go into even when I deal with what's known as Nag Hammadi. Even we deal with what's known as Nag Hammadi, when we start dealing with other what we call Gnostic writings, the only reason that we found the majority of manuscripts that we have that were written in drier places like Syria, and we found some in the drier lands of Egypt, is because the papyrus come from the Nile River. The paper, that's the reed, the strips from the reeds in the Nile River, and it's being that it's original to that land, it could stay drier and better in that climate. We don't have no manuscripts in Europe.
Hold on. Let me play with him a little bit. So, is Egypt black, Metu Judah? Is Egypt black?
That's a good
yes or no? You believe Egypt was black? You don't talk about the Hyksos, and there was ever a time in Egyptian history where white people sat on the thrones in Egypt, right? So if Egypt is black all the way up,
go ahead.
If Egypt was black all the way throughout history, then we know Moses was supposedly there, right? So then Moses was black, right? I mean, that's one. We talk about Menelik being a child of Sheba or Makeda and Solomon. Well, she came. Africa was considered. It wasn't called the Middle East back then. That was actually would be probably a Kebulon or what you would call Kemet.
Yes.
They had they had a palace over there. The Egyptians dealt with Solomon, who wrote the Song of Solomon. Right. These are in Solomon. I mean, I honestly believe a lot of the people in the Bible that wrote a lot of these books were black. That's just me. So he said, stop talking and put some sources in the chat.
Source in the book of what you just quoting right now, The Glory of the Kings of Ethiopia. I would urge you to read Thomas Oden book, How Africa Shaped the Christian Mind. There's plenty of sources. But it's seeing what you want
to see. You're not even proven to be a historical character, Moses. So, see, this is the thing.
That's foolishness. You can't entertain foolishness. Some people you have to leave in their ignorance. Some people choose to be in ignorance. And when they choose that ignorance, you got to leave them there.
No, but the problem is we have a lot of people that believe a lot of stuff on the internet that other scholars don't agree with. Now, do we have problems with, like, people would ask me, one thing I would give them, people would ask me, can I prove that every single person in the Bible lived? Absolutely not. I can't do it. Well, I haven't attempted to do that, but am I going to come like this cat here and Ray Hagen and say nobody existed when nobody, even when you deal with people like Jabari and people in the conscious communities that are scholars, they're not going to even who would y'all call y'all scholars, James Paul, Jabari, they're not going to say Hezekiah never existed. Are you crazy? There's too much external evidence to the fact, but then you'll get pseudo people like Ray Hagen, like young Pharaoh that'll say that. So even when you're dealing with the scholar, the conscious community, you got people on different levels. Shaka Utmost will tell you white folk came up in there in Egypt. These folk running around here in make-believe land, everybody was black when the Egyptians show with their own reliefs. The Egyptians ain't showing everybody is black. There's Semitic people, there's different type of people that were there. Oh, they changed the paintings on the wall. We want to believe fairy tales. Everybody was black. What my man said, Professor Walter Williams. I don't know what he a professor in. He said nobody was killing, wasn't no jail, wasn't no robbing till the white man came. Wasn't no killing, no raping, no nothing till the white man got there. Y'all crazy. Y'all got this whole thing confused, but I understand why you want to believe this. I don't got.
He's saying he's still waiting on one primary source of a Christian writing. Please put some source in the chat.
Well, I'm gonna put some of my videos in the chat. All of the texts come from Egypt. What part of that you don't understand?
He don't want to hear it. He
don't want to hear about Alexandria. Where Alexandria at? One of some of the first seminaries, the first monks. What are you did? Oh, maybe because this information is new.
Hold on. I got it. Tertullian, Ignatius.
All of those were African church fathers.
Ignatius was black. Tertullian, Saint Augustine. These are three of them that I just can name off the top of my head. It ain't about that. He probably don't even know who we talking about.
I told him if you would get how Africa shaped the church Christian mind. Matter of fact, go to Dr. Ben Dr. Ben Black Man in the Nile and his family. He got a whole chapter on St. Augustine in the church. Deal with Dr. Ben or We the Black Jews. African origins of major Western religions.
Brother Berean, can you speak to that?
Dr. Ben?
No, back to being the tribe, the lost Jews, because you get all this out here.
I can't really hear when this happened when the Black church comes
on the phone.
I can't hear you.
Can you speak to the fact of or give some historical context to you talk about the 12 tribes and they got these 12 charts out here running around.
Oh no! I even know Israelites that don't bear witness with the chart. You got to remember when you building a religion, when you building a doctrine, you got to get them some make believe. Class 13X came on the scene and told us about Yaku, the big head science, Isle of Patmos, and try to allegorize a lot of stuff on the Bible. Isle of Patmos, that's where John the Baptist was, the big head science, and he had grafted the white man and 76 trillion years and all that stuff. It's make believe. So with every a lot of systems that come on the scene, you'll have a myth, you'll have a legend surrounding the story, and that's the Nation of Islam's myth or legend, where Master Fard Muhammad come from, a mystery man from the east, and then he disappeared after 3.5 years. All of this stuff is the same nonsense. So a lot of people got that. When you're dealing with the Israelites in the camp, and there's no historian on the planet bearing witness with that 12 tribe chart. You have to believe that by faith. Plain and simple. There's some stuff that a lot of us believe, and we have to believe it by faith, don't have no evidence. That's including the conscious community, that's including the church, that's including the Israelites. That's everybody. Everybody got some stuff that we don't have no evidence exactly on every single thing. Now, there's some things like we brag that the spade of the archaeologists, nothing that archaeologists has ever discovered have discredited anything in the writ. We've got somebody like this guy, if he read 2 books, he might want to bring up Israel Finkelstein or what his name is, that wrote that other book, and the dude looks like the Israelites didn't kill off all of the Canaanites, like maybe they mixed or they married, or some Canaanites could have been Israelites that were dissatisfied. That's a whole nother argument among scholars. But I'm talking about something just that they discovered that just straight discredited the text. Show and prove some of that. They don't have nothing to discredit the text. That's one thing. And according to Dr. Evans, who got a PhD, who's in the field, 20 years in the field in archaeology. You hear me write these names down. He said, listen, when we start dealing with the biblical lands, only 5% of it have been excavated. So when people talk about you got to show and prove, you got to do this, 5% ain't nothing. 5% of all of the biblical, all of the land that the Old Testament talk about, only 5% of it have been excavated so far. So we don't know.
Hold on. Let me say this. So this brother seems to think that because people have faith, we're losing. There was also a brother earlier that said that this is escapism, and black people somehow, because we believe in Christ, that we're somehow, I don't know, I guess when I run into the white man, I think he's God. I mean, I don't know what they expect from us as Christians. I think we're supposed to be somehow weakened or something. It's as if a cop will pull you over and shoot you, and you're going to leave your body in astral project because you worship the ancestors. But me, because I worship Christ, I'm just going to die, right? Like, what? I just feel like they're so powerful because you think you know some history. You ain't no different than me. You ain't no better than me. This is why I had this brother on here, because I'm tired of it. You ain't no more empowered than me because you are conscious. You ain't no better. You ain't no better. It ain't nothing. If a cop pull you over, you're going to go through the same thing I go through. You can pray to the ancestors. You can do whatever. I don't care how much melanin you got. You still going to have to go through the same thing.
And that's why
I will make the case that we were better off in the church when black men was in the church. Now everybody working churches. You got all this gay stuff. You got all this stuff out here, and people telling me now to be an atheist. If I'm an atheist, you better look out. There's a whole lot of stuff out there.
I got to ride with you on that. I ride with you on that. Matter of fact, I asked them the same questions they asked me. I flip it on them. Where was the ancestors when y'all were getting thrown on them ships? Where was the ancestors? Where was Osiris then? I asked them the same questions and I flipped them questions. Then I tell them, check the scoreboard. What has the Nation of Islam done? What has the Moore Science Temple done? What did young Pharaoh do? All these, what did Dr. Malachi Z. York do? He said he could walk the walls. Why he's still laying up in the feds? Elijah Muhammad and I'm talking about the mothership and all this fantasy. Like Farrakhan ain't fed y'all fantasy. He ain't fed y'all fantasy about the mothership coming down and we from another planet when a meteorite came down here. That's fantasy, bruh. That ain't built on no scientific fact. That ain't history. Astral projecting or Malachi Z. York feeding y'all with that astral projecting coming out of yourself. Y'all black people gotta stop coming out of yourself and got to come down to reality and face the facts. And in the Africa of continent, on the continent of Africa, we ain't all follow the same belief system. If you think Christianity is crazy, take a good look at some of the beginning, the origins of the Nation of Islam. You're gonna see crazy. The origins of the Moore Science Temple, Daddy Grace, Father Divine. All of these will have some things that we would call myths or supernatural elements that we can have a problem with. Oh, trust me, that old Osiris story, somebody raping or grabbing Heru and busting in him, that sounds like homo stuff. So even if you want to argue like Sinetta in them, and you want to argue that that's allegorical, the mere fact that the Kemetic priests can bring that up, their minds wasn't right. Come on, talk to me.
So he calling the ancestors weak now. I guess he calling them weak, or he calling me when I don't know what he do. I guess now he's upset or offended.
Don't be upset, brother. We just talking. Don't be upset. Show and prove show and prove Heru was crucified and rose up on the third day. Show and prove that through primary sources. Don't be mad, brother. Don't worry, I got beef with the church too. Don't be mad when you talking crazy. When you talking like that, I'm rather listen to Richard Carrier than you. To be honest, I'm even listening to Professor James Smalls that say Christianity was in Africa before you. He got a channel. Where your channel at? He building. I'm gonna listen to even, and I don't even ride with them. But Shaka Utmost is bearing witness. All them folk wasn't black over there.
Let me say this.
Y'all want to believe in magic and blame the white man. You see that what you got is you. I'm gonna tell you part of the problem that you got. Part of the problem that you got is that slave mentality. Woe is me. That's the woe is me mentality. But reading that writ, I can't really take on that woe is me mentality. White man did this, I'll never be the same again. Not if I believe in deity. Come on, where's Ra? Where's Amun Ra at? If you believe he's so great, why would you be so worried about, scared about what the white man doing right now? Ain't that what Freemasonry teach y'all, the square teach y'all, to be Masons and build in your mind and come up out of your situation? Come on, you said it come from Kemet, but it comes from the white man. Let's build on that.
Come on, amen.
Of course, the Nation of Islam is into Scientology. Of course, Farrakhan got to take y'all in that direction for a reason. Look at
wait. He just said no practical use. Have faith in yourself. So if you got cancer and it's in stage 4, what you gonna do? Your son hit by a car, and they tell me he got 5 minutes to live. You need to go say your final words. You gonna pray, or you just? I mean, I believe in. It's like somehow, if all I got is faith in myself, then we in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta agree with that.
I believe in something greater than myself. I
gotta agree with that right there. But the problem is, they thinking that all you're gonna do is pray. You ain't gonna go to the hospital. They thinking all you're gonna do is pray. When we start dealing with this, that's how I said the history is important. The earliest scientists were believers. Y'all wouldn't have no public schools, public free hospitals. Y'all getting all shot up in the hood, busting your gun. You wouldn't have no free hospitals if it wasn't for Christianity. You wouldn't have no free schools if it wasn't for Christianity. A lot of these universities that started out here, it started because of Christianity. They wanted to educate the people, help the people read and write. Why they wasn't doing that? Why they wasn't doing that in Kemet? Why the mysteries had to be for certain people, just for the elite, and then they had the nerve to initiate the white Greeks when the Greeks came in and overlooked their own black farmers? Come on, man, don't give me none of that. We return to sender. We don't accept that nonsense over here. That's nonsense. They ain't been dealing with no skin color then, and we ain't dealing with skin color now. Man has got a heart problem. We got a heart problem. Folk was killing before the white man.
Look, man, y'all liberated.
There was a lot of killing and raping in Africa before the white man came on the scene. I know y'all don't like it because the black man is God, the black man is holy, the black man can do for self. Black man busting his gun. We killing more than anybody else right now. Oh, that's because of the white man. I know. I know South Africa is the way it is because of the white man. I know. Give it to blacks that have had it for 100 years. It's a heart problem. This ain't got nothing to do with skin color. This ain't got nothing to do with skin color. That's how I can bear witness with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Judge every man according to the content, not according to color of his skin, but the content of his character. That's more important. And a lot of us are running around and mad. You can say what you want. White folk was running with Harriet Tubman, helping on the Underground Railroad. We might not even have made it if it wasn't for them white folk helping us, looking out, sneaking, teaching us Frederick Douglass, teaching us how to read. Come on, man. You can't give me certain stuff I just ain't accepting. I know too much of the history, too steeped in the history. Too many white folk looked out, said, yo, this slavery thing is wrong. We got to set up shop to free these people, to get these folk out of here. How am I gonna sit here and say a whole race is wicked? It's just madness.
Let me interject one thing. Okay, so let's kind of change the subject and go into what I want to go into is the history of the church after slavery with the black community, because there's some jewels in there, and I don't really think a lot of people know about Absalom Jones, Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, and I know you're real knowledgeable on this stuff off the top of your head. I know I haven't seen you do it, and so I wanted to kind of talk about that. And these people were devout believers. I went to Tuskegee, Booker T. Washington, people like that. And
when we start dealing with Absalom Jones and them, if it wasn't for black believers coming out of antebellum South and all that, if it wasn't for the black believers, I don't know what could be done. The other guy said, well, they didn't know about their other true spirituality. They didn't know about their other true spirituality. What they knew in the God that they believed in worked. Y'all can say what y'all want. Nat Turner killed up them white folk. He said he escaped and the spirit told him to go back. You got to play. There's a job for you to do. You're going to say that all of these people were cooned out with the book? When we start even dealing with the Bible and Europeans and the way they promoted it, they wouldn't have made the Negro Bible. They wouldn't have cut pages out of the Bible talking about deliverance. The God of the Bible is on the side of the oppressed. They would have never done that. And the slaves that were able to read, that comprehended, understood things in the spirit, they said, man, listen, the king wants us free. And they are the ones that led the movement. Say what you want. The AME church put that work in. Absolutely. I
saw a statistic that says 65% of what is it? Not Aborigines. Abolitionists were African Americans. Also, let me say one thing. A lot of the HBCUs were founded through the church. Absolutely. Because this brother saying that the church didn't contribute to educational institutions. That's not true.
That is correct. Harvard beginning these were Harvard and all of these what we call these top universities were original Christian universities. What is he talking about?
In fact, the whole educational system, the first textbook they had was the Bible.
Thank you. And that's one of the main reasons, even when the Bible coming off the printing press, teaching people to read, teaching people how they can be free, and we don't need tyrants. We don't need the king and the church ruling us. So there's a lot of stuff that we got to look at. You got to make sure you coming with facts. Don't just hate them white folk. Don't just hate them white folk and just come back and start talking reckless. Well, let's get back to the point. Let's see how much work Dr. Malachi Z. York put in. Farrakhan in the mansion. Jake's in the mansion. Farrakhan in the mansion. Creflo Dollar's in the mansion. All of them is in mansions right now. But how much work did they put in? How much work did Master Fard Muhammad put in? How much work did Elijah put in compared to the church? That's all we saying. If y'all got something better, give it to me. That's what we asking Sinette and them. If all of y'all got something better than Osiris, give it to us. Show and prove, establish and raise up the black folk and show us. And then we'll be like, yo, 50, 80 years from now, we'll be like, yo, I ain't gonna lie. They don't put Christianity to shame. But we got too many people banging on Christianity now when Christianity put work in for a lot of y'all to have the jobs y'all had. Who was out there during the civil rights? The nation, who was out there during the civil rights? They did some stuff, but they ain't put the work in. They ain't put the work in that the church was putting in. Say what you want. I even argue with Christians when we start talking about different lodges and the work Prince Holden and put in. This is nothing to even, if you arguing that you crazy. You got a problem if you arguing this, but you want to tear down the whole Bible when the Bible people use that as a tool to elevate themselves, understanding deity, and we need to be free and pulling us up out of it. You can't deny that. You can't deny.
I think that's the thing. I think there was a time where like 95% of black people were Christian, and I think you can see it even with Marcus Garvey. A lot of those people in the UNIA, those were pastors.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's correct.
a lot of them guys, Malcolm X's father, a lot of these people, Dr. Martin Luther King Sr., a lot of these people were Christian men that saw the suffering of their people and took a chance and said, okay, let's go out here and let's be revolutionary minded. Because I think the whole reason I had this video is because people just seem to somehow disrespect the church and say that there's no such thing as revolutionary minded Christians. Now, this brother Jaleel, one of my students, shout out to Jaleel, he said that was back then. I'm not saying that the church today is perfect, but I'm a believer, guys. I may not be perfect, but I'm out here teaching people to help them get into IT. I got over right at $1 million worth of offers for my students to get jobs and stuff. I'm a believer.
And that's putting in work right there. That's putting in work. What the conscious community done? I like what Scream said down here. My only question is, what is the conscious community for them to even take them serious? Come on, name some of the people in the conscious community. Show me what organizations they got. I seen some of them Israelites said that they was going to have a cookout, and they said, well, we ain't feeding no Africans. So I never stirred them up, though. They said, we ain't feeding no Africans. We only feeding Israel. That religion got some of these folk running around here crazy. What work have they done is a fair question. Let's park there for a minute. Let's compare thing for thing. Thing for thing, what has the conscious community done? What has the church done? Let's compare these numbers.
Yeah, it's not close. I don't think there's any institution that you can gather or talk about in America that's done more than the Black church.
Not right now. Absolutely so. Not right now. You can't. Not right now. And like you said, but the problem is the Black church isn't perfect. The problem is the Black church isn't perfect. We don't have a problem with that. But the thing is, what is better? What is better for us right now? Name something better for us right now. All the whole teppy is they third eye open, they burning sage, they dealing with their higher self, they know God ain't white, and they know God is inside of them. What have they done? All them folk that know God inside of them, and Kemet is the true land, and the white man is the devil, what have they done? Name their organizations and name what they done. That's all. We ain't beefing. We just
okay. So let's go into the church a little bit, because one Bell 4184 just said that the church is corrupt. Now, before you say one thing, I'm gonna say this. I know people talk about Black fathers not being good fathers, right?
Yeah.
We all know Black men who are great fathers, right? That love their kids. But the image of the Black man is such that he's a terrible father. He's the worst father. I think that the church, nobody brags on a Black man as a pastor or doing his work. But as soon as Creflo Dollar said he wanted that jet, that means it's national news. So when you say the church is corrupt, take in mind you're speaking for just probably in your own city, probably 30, 40 different churches where people are probably laboring to help people and doing a lot of things in the community. That if it weren't for the church, a lot of people wouldn't have a lot of things. I know churches that pay people's bills.
You ain't lying about that.
I've seen the church pay people's light bills, folks in there in the winter freezing, and they go to the church. I can't go to no conscious person and get my light bill paid 9 times out of 10. So when people, just take in mind, guys, I had an interview with my homeboy, Kevin King from Common Ground Ministries. They in the streets helping people go to college, helping people doing stuff. It's a lot of people in the church that's laboring. And you got the conscious, the woke church convention that you was involved with.
Yeah.
What's the name?
The whole Thrive Frequency Conference teaching apologetics. My man out there, Diamond Street Festival, they out there doing in the community thousands they spending.
But the thing is, nobody in the media is gonna brag about that. Nobody. See, I'm gonna tell you why I think the church has a big problem. It has a PR problem, major PR problem. Because a lot of people in the church are, whenever something bad happens, it circles the globe in seconds. But when a guy is chased and waiting on his wife, and he finds his, I went to the Traffic Sale and Profit Conference. This brother stood up, hey guys, I was a virgin, I waited on my wife. This is a man saying this, which, in this day and age, that's rare. The guy was like, I got my wife, God sent me my wife, I got this, I got that. It's people out there, they all around us, and we all know them. And we ignore those people. We always talk about the church, and there are pastors that's sleeping with people. There are people that's been molested. I don't deny any of that. And I condemn that stuff. But I do see people in the church laboring for the things of God. I think that's something that I don't see as greatly marketed as it probably needs to. Now, it's a shame you got to do that, but in this day and age with the internet and technology, now the church is going to I think that's one of the major issues. The internet, the church is slow. It's just not starting to come online with a lot of
Yes, you ain't lying. We should have been on top of this. That's one thing I even tell people when we doing lectures and stuff like that. You could say what you want. Those Israelite camps, they didn't have no building like we had churches. We were up in our churches teaching and doing whatever. Them Israelites, they ain't have nothing but the internet. So now we trying to catch up because they've been putting in work on the internet. Because that's all that they had and they used it. The church didn't see the importance of getting on the internet and getting out here. Even with scholars, when you start talking about Bart Ehrman and the other scholars, they weren't paying no. They only a few lunatics were running around here saying Jesus never existed. But the internet made that thing spread so much. Now it's getting to the ears of scholars and universities, and they were like, "Who believes that mess?" Like, yo, there's a whole world out there on the internet believe that, and it spreads so fast and it's all over. So scholars are trying to get on top of stuff. The internet has definitely done something, but it's definitely when we start dealing with what the church have done. People, enough people, I guess, because they took it for granted. They expect us to help people get burned out. People got a funeral, drug cat shot up in the hood. You ride around on 30s in a big truck. They hit you up on the block. You ain't even got no money for a casket. Who you gonna go to but the church? Who gonna pray and put you on the ground but the church? You want to get married, your son locked up. Who going up there to talk to him, to counsel him, to help you out but the church? Not them cats on the corner.
Let me say this.
Y'all coming to have them funerals in the church. Y'all
Can I interject something?
Go ahead.
Can I interject something?
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Hold on, French. Let me say one
I
sentence.
gotta speak, Bill. Let me.
I'm gonna say one sentence, then you can talk, brother. The reason I teach is because of my belief in Christ, bro. I wouldn't be up here. A lot of them, you ask my students. The reason I do what I do is from my heart and my faith. You said just do good work. Go ahead, franchise. That's it.
Listen, we talk about the church, but I'm a living witness to what the church has done. And I'm not trying to give anybody no big ups or anything, but this brother here has been putting in work for years, for a lifetime. And I'm a personal testimony to that brother's work. And Sub-Zero, he personally knows this already, and he know what I'm finna share. When I was in college, when I came to Tuskegee homeless. When I came to school, I had one pair of pants, 2 shirts. The day that I met Sub-Zero, the very day that I met him and told him that I was a believer in Christ, that evening, Sub-Zero and he went and found 2 other brothers, and they took me to the mall and took me shopping, bought my entire wardrobe while I was in college.
Amen. You
didn't have a
God people doing that.
I didn't have a dime. And it wasn't a limit, it wasn't nothing special. And from that point on, it has changed my life. Because when I came, I was a different brother. When I left, I was a different man. So the church is putting in work. It's just on a private level. The level to the point that it had changed my life, that it took me out the streets and made me realize that there was something else. Because I had never had nobody just say, hey, we're going to take you shopping. And them brothers that day spent almost $600 on me.
Man, that's a blessing right there.
Turned around later and took me shopping again.
I agree with you that we need to hear more stuff like that. We do need to hear more testimonies like that. Somebody said the church is supposed to be the pillars for the Black community. Yeah. But you know how interesting, how long we've been talking on here, 58 minutes. And when we start asking what the conscious community done, nobody could say nothing. Everybody quiet. I'm looking at all these. I'm looking at all these comments. I want to know what SETI done, what Favre done. I want to know what Malcolm and them done. I want to know what Ansar Law community done. We ain't got too many comments. We ain't got too many comments about that because, to be honest, we got to keep it 100. Keeping it 100. There's nothing wrong with that. Especially people of African descent, we got to keep it 100. Listen, we got to admit it, yo, the church, I'm mad at the church. Even if you say, yo, I'm mad at the church. I got beat with the church. I'm mad at the church. Or like my brother just said, the church ain't perfect, but they done put that work in. Who else? Who else? And if we got something else, it's great. Let's discuss it. But right now, we don't have that. But people would argue that after the civil rights movement
amazing that they
started pulling off a little bit, they're not as upfront as they were putting in work for us. And that's, that could take us to the argument about segregation. Was that good? Were we doing more for ourselves? Black Wall Street and all of this stuff.
But that was the exact point that I was about to bring up, Brother Berean. They talk about the church and they say all these things, but for us being black Americans, we are where we're at because of the work of the church.
You better know.
Let's be completely honest. We're able to go into McDonald's and we're able to eat. Why? The work of the church.
Yes. There's no other way around.
When you really break it down, it was the church that organized and gathered people together in the 60s during the civil rights movement. Everybody met at the church.
Yeah.
It was believers in the system within Christ that gathered that said, you know what, we're gonna take this nonviolent path and we're gonna do this way. It was the church. It was the church that fed. It was the church that united. It was the church that gave us a black community. But now since we walked away from Christ, but see, a lot of people don't take scripture seriously. They don't pay attention to the living word because it is living. The scripture said it's going to be that day. That day is coming where it's going to be a great apostasy. We walked away from the church.
But let me ask you a question in all fairness now. This is what people don't like me. In all fairness, who caused that walking away? Did we do it? Did we stop teaching and stop doing and start entertaining? Did we start blending with? Did we do some things to cause that?
Here's my response to that. I think we did a lot of things.
Now you're talking good. Keep it 100.
I'm gonna keep it 100 to the fullest. And me and Sub have this conversation outside of this. The problem is that we as men, as black men, first we walked away, and then we let our women take control, and now we're all the way out here. Because as men, the when you look at scripture and you look at things as a whole, is how God designed it. The man is the head. The man is the leader. Women are going to follow because that's their nature.
Yeah,
that's just how they're built.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, and so when you have no leadership, you going your own way, and you following the wrong thing, thinking that you're following the right thing, because all she was trying to do was be a strong woman to raise the family. Because guess what? The man had went astray. Yeah. The man walked away from God. The man out in the streets, they chasing money, they doing everything other than what they should be doing is being fathers within their household. And so the women, and part of that has to do with, that's a whole nother agenda, but part of that has to do with the feminist movement. They got involved in something that
he gone somewhere now, but because somebody asked him the question, they said what caused the man to walk away? That's I think that's a fair question. What do you think caused the man to walk away?
I got an answer for that, guys.
I want to hear that because that's a good question right there.
You want my honest opinion?
Go ahead. I'm looking at this one.
My honest opinion is that we let Uncle Sam intervene and become the man that we should by Section 8, by welfare, by taking these things and putting them into place. Because eventually, if you pay close attention, at one point it was the man that provided for the household, and then the man ended up walking away. The woman needed assistance, so now she's in line in the welfare line. She's drawing food stamps. She's getting Section 8, and now you want to come back home. I don't need you. Matter of fact, you can't even be here. Or you taking away from my food out my kids' mouth. So you can't be here. You got to go. So now you can't even.
The circumstances. All right, no. I'm gonna wait. I want to hear some more. Go ahead. The circumstances. Who did somebody manipulate them circumstances for that thing to work out that way?
That feminist movement.
He just ain't want to talk to me. I want to hear about that right there.
My personal opinion is, and I hate to say this.
Let me say it. Go ahead and say it.
It was all part of the system. See, there's a system and there's a card in play here. And that system, and I hate to say it, it is the enemy. And it sounds like preaching, but it really is the enemy. The enemy used the white races to step in and say, okay, let's take the man out the house. Now when he want to come back in, they're not going to let them back in because it's easier for them to sit at home and draw food stamps and all these other things. And so you can't come in and be a man and be that leader and guide the family in the right way. Because in order for any change to take place, it starts within one home.
Oh, I believe that's how the breakdown of the family is the most important thing.
It starts at home.
Yes.
And so when you teaching right at home, it translates out, and it's your house to the next house to the next house. And nobody wants to hear the truth, but the fact of the matter is, no men. We walked away from the church. Bottom line, had we not walked away from the church, then things would be looked at different.
So the problem is, well, if that's the case, even if people start going back to church now, the men got to get back in church, because that case we got full of women.
Yes.
The church ain't effective anyway. There's a bunch of women.
But now you're running into the Jezebel theory. Now you're running into the issue a whole nother ball game.
What?
We've been doing this for so long. I don't need your help. Matter of fact, they don't even want your help. For the most part, you got some that do, some that won't. So now you got to, because of all of misteaching, over so many years of misteaching, miseducation.
But I'm sorry, hold on a minute. Somebody said y'all can't blame everything on feminism and welfare. You did bring up, maybe you want to talk to that. You did bring that up.
I'm not blaming everything on feminism and welfare. It's just, it's a factor. That's not the only factor.
Okay.
That's all that I'm saying. I'm not blaming everything on them.
Guys, hold on, French. Let me say this. The church, guys, like, this is the thing. When it comes to the way the church operates, I'm more of if a person completely didn't grow up in America and they just read the Bible straight out, would it operate like it does here in America? The answer would be no.
No.
You wouldn't have pews. You wouldn't have pews. You wouldn't have an elevated stage with a pastor down in the congregation. Communion would be a meal. There would be certain things. It would almost be more like house church, and people would come in and be able to give words of utterance. So when you talk about men leaving, understand that the church hasn't been functioning. I personally believe that the way God structured things is perfect. The way he set it up.
I agree. Yes, I agree.
What happens is when you don't operate under the way it's supposed to operate, and you take one guy and elevate this guy up, which they did around 300 AD, something like that. They started taking pastor, right? And so what happens is that starts messing up the way it flows. So men, we leaders, man. We not meant to be going up in no church, sitting there listening to some guy preach, then just go home.
That's part of the answer. I'm sorry. You see that? I want to go back. Wait a minute. Somebody said, now those women, no, that's for your man right here. Those women not going to just submit because a man came back. They finna just, what is that? And just change things like that. Yeah. You see it. Put that up to read that up there. But somebody said, from talking from the male psyche, those are two questions we might have to answer before we get out of here. Answering from the male perspective, the male psyche, why did they leave the church? That's a good question.
I think that's the answer. I really believe that it hasn't functioned like it was designed. If you read the Bible and you look at what's going on today, it's not the same.
It's not the same. It's
so
not.
And I've been in churches.
And I'm probably
hold on 1 second, French.
Hold on. He go ahead.
Hold on 1 second. I was just gonna say I've been in those types of churches. You remember Sean started one. It's different, and it operates and is more edifying. That will function properly. It's almost like they call it the body of Christ. So if you cut off the circulation of the going to an arm, that arm is going to atrophy and eventually you just rot off. So what happens is everything's not functioning like it is originally designed. It's not being followed.
And Bill, that's a good segue to what I'm going to address.
But wait a minute, I'm sorry. Because durable goods said that is something there to look at. He's saying from a male, durable good is saying answer from a male perspective. Now I'm just gonna add something on to what durable goods said. This is a fair question for the both of y'all. Why do you think groups like IUIC got men. The Nation of Islam got so many men. Israelite camps got so many men. What is going on in the church that men can't just sit there and what is going on in those other organizations that they're drawing men and it seems like men can't come up to church and sit down? There's something that's bothering a man to make a man not want to be in church. And don't say no demons. Don't spook me out.
I don't think they're not giving men, like men, we supposed to lead, we supposed to operate. You going in a church and you just sitting there and it's just one guy preaching every.
Now you. See, I'm gonna make somebody confess. Terrible good talking good one right now. Go ahead, you talking good now.
I was just saying, I just don't think that, I don't think when, a lot of times when men go to church, we need direction. We need to use our gifts. A lot of us are teachers, a lot of us are leaders, protectors. And if you got a church where one guy, the pastor, is infallible, anything he says, if you look at the word, the original Greek word for teacher is synonymous with overseer, it's synonymous with pastor. All those are the same words. So these people, elders, are sifters. They protect the congregation, but any man that comes in and has made his confession in front of many witnesses can stand up and give a word of instruction. This is exactly what it says. So if I can't give a word of instruction and I got a gift where I can't operate in, what's going to happen? I'm going to feel left out. I'm going to feel like I can't operate and function in the gift God gave me. So a lot of times guys leave unless they involved in the leadership. That's only a certain amount of guys.
That's only a certain amount.
Churches where it's so crazy with some of the level of respect that they give these people, almost to the point where you can't even touch these dudes. And so that's unhealthy. I never said the church was perfect. I see, like, I've been on a child. I remember one time they took us some times, and this dude looked at me like he wanted to fight because I was standing on the hallway when they brought the money by. I'm like, what are you talking about? We don't want no spirits on the money. Like, just outright. And so as men, you can't operate in the gifts you got. And so I think that's why men left. They have male discipline. Good point, Durable Goods.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm trying to read these. I be in the comments, y'all. Go ahead, though. I think you cut it off.
That was it. I was just gonna say that I think that men need to be allowed to operate in the fullness of their gifts and what they have in their communities and stuff like that. I think, and if you look at the scriptures and you follow it, if you go through 1 Corinthians and you read in 13th, 14th chapter, if someone has a word of instruction.
Yes. Thank you.
Can't even do that. They don't have a time in service where you can even do that. Yeah. When you try to say something, well, you can go to Sunday school. That ain't church. That's just y'all sitting around talking.
Yes.
It operates like biblically, like it was set up. It would a lot of these issues would be fixed. These pastors, soon as the pastor stand up to my, I see a pastor, man, they're gonna pay him $600,000. I'm gonna have a problem with that. I'm like, no, bro, you ain't finna be no top 1% earner up in here. Talking about you some pastor flying off in a private helicopter. That ain't finna work. It ain't finna work like that. See, men, we would check that.
Men are,
So what happens is we don't operate in our gifts, and we're not allowed to get in and do certain things and function. That's I read called pagan Christianity.
So can I interject here?
We're listening. We're all ears.
Okay. You say why are the other people, I guess you want to call them camps, organizations, religions, why are they gaining men?
Especially yes.
Let's really look at things on a whole. How did God design things and orchestrate things to be? That's first. Then secondly, what's really taking place within these organizations, camps, whatever you want to call them. Let's go back to the very beginning. Number one, Islam and these Hebrew camps, why are they gaining so many men? Number one, and Sub, I know you probably don't want me to say this, but I have to. It is because of polygamy.
Because of what?
Because of polygamy. They have the ability to have multiple wives. And nobody addresses the fact with.
What happened? He cut off?
Oh no. I think it's his internet.
Okay. All right.
I mean, they have been talking about that for a while. That don't bother me. Like when
no, people are considering that. A lot of people considering that, and especially in the community, do we need to have more than one, to help the race and all of that other stuff. People discussing all of that stuff there.
This is just me. I don't personally see that. I think if you read, just clearly read, don't be biased. I don't see that. I don't. I think if you're going to be in leadership, then you can't have one. But other than that, I don't see it like that. That I think we got from the Puritans. I think when it was Jonathan Edwards around that
Yes,
time.
yes. I think is he still talking? Do he still think we can hear him?
No, I hope not.
Okay, too late.
But Jonathan Edwards, these guys, I forget the name. A lot of these guys, I used to be a 5-point Calvinist and stuff. I still do, you know. So,
all right, there he is. I see him. Go ahead.
Go ahead, man. We're okay.
He knows.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here's the thing.
Hold on 1 second, French. Guys, if you're gonna be disrespectful in the chat and say stuff, I'm just gonna go and block you. I don't care. I'm sorry. Like some of the stuff people are saying, just disrespectful, arrogant, condescending. If you want to interject something constructive, do that. Yeah. Some of these people are disagreeing respectfully. You just come in and insult, I'm gonna block you. Yeah. Simply that you're gonna be permanently blocked. I know you probably don't care, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah. They already muted one person that was coming with a bunch of craziness, and he been muted. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. I don't have no problem doing it. That's real.
I do apologize for my internet acting up. But before I leave, I have to interject this. These guys are joining because if you walk in the church in America right now and told any person in any church that polygamy is a Christian act and God ordained it and that it would be okay and that he never said anything condemning it, they look at you crazy. But if you look in Deuteronomy, 22nd chapter, it says, if a man has more than one wife and he loves one and hates the other one, here's the instructions on how you're to conduct yourself as a man. And all the majority of the patriarchs throughout the whole Bible, when you look at Moses, Jacob, Abraham, David, Solomon, Gideon, I mean, I could keep going down the line. Joseph, Jesus was born in a polygamous relationship.
But wait a minute. Somebody just said most guys can't afford more than one wife. That can't be it. Huh? That can't be it.
But it's happening. It's happening. These guys are, let's break it down. Let's look at Brother Polite.
Let me help you out. I think what he's saying is it would actually probably bring honesty out. People would be honest. I think a lot of people will come in and because it's going on anyway, guys. So a man now has to provide certain things for that woman. And so it really would kind of cut down on some of this stuff instead of trying to sneak and do stuff. Now, that's just me. I ain't trying to, like I said.
I'm not saying that it's right and it's not for every man. It's not for every man. Some can handle one. Some can handle more than one. But you're asking why are these people joining? And then secondly, the second reason is because the majority of the people that's going over to these religions and camps and things, they want God to fit them and them not fit God.
But look at this. Them just doing them back up here or back us here. I think too, when you're looking at the Black Hebrew Israelites and the Nation of Islam, they promote study and learning, while the church many times focusing on the pastor being the only source of known, or I guess no one can contradict him. You think it got something to do with that? Because you can't say brothers don't want to learn, brothers don't want to build.
I think people tired of hearing the same thing. I think people tired of hearing the same thing, and they want to learn. They want more to Christ. But they tired of going to church hearing the same thing over and over and over again. There's more depth to this Bible than Jesus loved you and died for your sins. He's giving you instructions on how to live. Jesus didn't come to condemn the law. He came to fulfill the law and teach us how to live. But you don't really get that in church. You get something about to make you feel good, how to overcome and make a little bit of money. For the most part, when you go to church.
Now, brother, that you made the point. The point I'm trying to make also, I feel like, is that if it had functioned like it originally was set up, we wouldn't have this problem. Because you would be able to stand up and say that. And you would be able to interject and sift, and you would have elders, and everybody has a certain office, and it would function the way it's supposed to function. You wouldn't have no stranger. If it functioned like it's supposed to function, you say you make your confession in the presence of many witnesses. You wouldn't have a stranger coming into a situation being able to just do anything because the elders is sifting the whole time. Wait a minute, brother, where you get that from? What is that based on? How can you verify that? You don't have that. So it's
I gotta be like Brother Berean. I gotta be devil's advocate here, unfortunately. The one thing I gotta give these other camps, these Islams and these camps, they all move together. How is it that you can walk right now in the city that I'm in? I can walk in multiple blocks where there's a four-way intersection, 4 corners, and on 4 corners right now I can stand in the middle of the street and count 4 different churches. And they all going to church, and Sunday morning when you come out, they all coming from. How come we can't all come together and organize and operate as we should? Somebody got to be wrong. Somebody got to be right. You say you serving Christ. I say I'm serving Christ. How come we can't meet? It's just too much head bumping going on.
But yo, you know one thing I can say, but at least it sounds like you're not totally done with it. You just fed up. I guess like a good bit of people. You ain't give up totally, right?
No, I stay following Christ. Christ is a must. I'm just saying, addressing the question as to why are people going to other faiths? One, they want God to fit them and them not fit God because they don't want to change. And it sounds good to some people because they've been told, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this. Oh, but I can do this over here. So now you want to be this type of person because, oh, this God fits the person that I am. And then secondly, no organization. People want to belong to something that is organization amongst.
People want to belong to what? I lost that last. I didn't hear that last part.
People want to belong to something bigger than them.
Okay.
So they going where it fits them. They going where it fits them. And it's just too much disorganization. Look at the Hebrew Israelite camp. You got to be honest. You got multiple locations of.
Let me say this, bro. You talked about this. Read the comment up on the screen. You talked about this yesterday. I feel like brothers follow other religions because a lot of Christian pastors don't project Jesus.
Oh yes.
They always see
he's
just a weak, passive, in my opinion. I think that was a great
observation. He's absolutely right.
That was very keen, brother. Great point.
I like that. And then the mere fact, and then if you do see somebody that's projecting that strong image, they're going to be offended. They're going to be like, that ain't Christ-like, because they so much had that other image in their mind.
Correct. Just like I just told Sub this yesterday. We were talking on the phone when I got off work, and it's utterly amazing that people think Christ was this soft, timid man. But here's a statement that Jesus made walking with the disciples and talking to them. And one of the disciples' father had passed away, and he turned to Jesus and he said, hey, I'll follow you, but let me go bury my parents. Let me go bury my father. Jesus turned and looked at this man and said, let the dead bury the dead. That ain't no punk statement. That's a real.
Somebody come clear the temple. We just read clear the temple. Let me tell you something. If I'm doing business, somebody come up in there, they're going to have to put me on my head. You ain't gonna just throw me out of business if I'm selling. This is my stuff. You think Jesus didn't have to grab one and lock him up, put them jumper cables to him?
He did. And so they portray Jesus. And I tell people all the time, I'm not that Christian. You smack me, oh, buddy, you going to draw back a nub.
Oh, see that? And there's a lot of people that feel like that.
I'm not that type of Christian. I'm not going to turn the other cheek. If you put your paws on me or my family or my child or my woman or my mom, I'm coming for you.
Most meaning, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read these things too.
Oh, abominations, I don't know what they're trying to say.
Yeah, I'm trying to read a couple.
Meaning the Messiah one only is the one, and the husband and only husband where the world is the bride. Can you explain what you mean?
He didn't type that pretty good. I don't think he got that one out good.
Yeah.
No, he didn't type that pretty well. But
now, hold on. I want to go into one subject that I always go into on my channel, and I'm gonna do it.
Hold on, sir. I gotta ask Brother Berean, one question.
I'm listening. I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you.
Brother Berean, have you ever read the book One Man's Destiny?
No, I don't think so. That don't sound familiar.
Okay, if you can read that, I would love to get your email address. And after you've read it, I would love to be able to chop it up with you because
Okay.
I forgot who wrote the book, but it's called One Man's Destiny.
All right, I'll look into that. One Man's Destiny. I'm at BereanTeach@gmail.com. And y'all know my YouTube is Berean TV. BereanTeach@gmail.com. But I'll look that up on Kindle now.
Let me ask you this. Got to be careful. I call these people small hats on my channel. I don't say the other word, which is the people today that live in the country called Israel. Right? I don't say their name because you can get your channel deleted just for saying this. But I got to come up for air, as we would say in Montgomery, Alabama. Right? So this is the thing. What do you think about people worshiping Baal, literally, and they talk about Moloch being a Canaanite owl, which I didn't notice. And when I find this stuff out, like you look into the music industry, talk about the mysticism with OVO, Drake's label represents the owl's eyes with the beak being the V, OVO. And you look at the music industry and you look at the Kabbalah and its mysticism stuff, and I didn't know that Moloch was an actual owl.
Yes.
And so when you got the owl and the dollar, you got all this stuff going on. And this is the thing. I think these people they believe in this stuff just like we do. They just on the other end of the spectrum. I always say that.
That's correct.
What's your insight on that?
They're on, but the problem is that a lot of people running around here talking about they don't believe. The elite believe. These people are magicians. These people dealing with they dealing with them powers, like you say, like we believe. They seriously believe and they seriously practicing it. But what a lot of people don't know, they running around here like people would get online and talk this and talk that, but they under a spell. There's some other stuff going on. These people are studying certain things, so they'll have you either one, they'll have you, just caught up in the Kim Kardashian and television and all of that, or they'll have you on some other stuff, arguing about religion and all of this stuff whilst they putting a spell on you. These people practice. I believe in what Rick said, the synagogue of Satan. The book don't talk about the synagogue of Satan, one world government. No man shall buy or sell. I think a lot of this is coming because things need to fall into place. So a lot of people are following the same doctrine so it can all fall into play, and they got to prepare themselves for what Rick called the Antichrist. That's how come they try to move everybody to deal with Christ consciousness, a higher self, dealing with yourself. That new age,
this is where they're going.
Community is teaching, white folk teaching that too. The Kabbalah teaching that too. Rosicrucians, mystics, they all teaching the same thing, dealing with your higher self.
Some of these people believe they have the blood of Satan flowing through their bloodline. When you start realizing that some of these people out here teaching this serpent seed doctrine with the Canaanites and all this other stuff, some of these people actually walk around think that they come from the blood of Satan.
No, some people really believe that. Even then you deal with the Veil and you deal with different societies with Hitler and them, Helen Blavatsky, they believe in them blonde-haired ones, the ascended masters, them blonde-haired, blue-eyed ones that come from the Akashic, that come from the second heaven that they can deal with, and they descended and received the secret knowledge from them. And there's
now, me personally, do I believe? I've read the Book of Enoch. And do I believe in the fallen angels? I believe that. Do I believe they're still here? I do. Here's my personal take on it. I think they're going to the edge of the earth. I think they actually know, and they've come against the firmament, and they've looked out and they've talked to the fallen angels. I do believe that, because when you start looking at the Book of Enoch and looking at how these fallen ones taught and teach, this is the stuff that's going on. You tell me on God Green Earth, what in the world does John Kerry got doing going to Antarctica? For what?
Oh no! Don't tell me you another one. You believe that's where some of them? That's where you believe all the nations signed a treaty not to go.
I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say I believe that, but there's a lot of evidence that points to it. I'm not saying it's true. That part I don't know.
You just think something ain't right.
Say that again.
You just think something ain't right up there.
Yeah, something ain't right.
Guys, I'm gonna say something. The whole book of mysticism, the Kabbalah stuff, man. It's like these people. I've seen videos. I mean, of course, the person's channel I think got deleted, but there was somebody that showed videos of these people talking. These I call them small hats, and these people got some real sinister and evil, intentions. When I say not just something I identify, I'm talking about they literally in their book say that it's okay for grown men to be messing with little 3-year-old.
Oh yeah. All of that.
This is a grown man can mess with a 3-year-old kid and they'll still be a virgin up until the age of 3. Boy, they literally suck blood off of the organs of little boys when they circumcise. Like this stuff is supremely evil, and I see it.
Question, Brother Berean, you don't believe that the fallen ones are amongst us? Because the Bible does speak about them coming back again.
I believe that, but I don't know in what capacity. I hear people often elaborate on it, but I don't know in what capacity. But I definitely,
and that's the problem that I have.
I believe all that stuff is rich. That stuff is rich. Some people may look at it and joke like sci-fi, but they're trying to tell you something in some of these movies. That I believe.
Yes, Lord.
I believe it. They believe it too.
I think they know it.
We're not flat Earth. We're not gonna go there because this conversation will go somewhere way off. Y'all will think,
No, I'm not going to the flat Earth. I'm not. I don't know. Listen, once again, I'm not. I don't know if it's flat. I don't know if it's round. It could be a square. It could be a triangle. None of us know because ain't none of us seen it. We all going off some, and this is what I tell people every day because I work with a bunch of atheists. I do. And
what?
Atheists. I work with a bunch of atheists. Yet you believe NASA, but you find it hard to believe in this Bible. You walking by faith just like I'm walking by faith. You just choose to believe what somebody told you because they gave you an image that you think is there. You have no proof whether that image is true or not.
Well, I can agree with that. You got a lot of people that want to believe in Bible, but they're gonna tell you Anunnaki, some beings from another planet, came down here and they created us, and they're gonna make us gods like them and take us back to the other world in which they live, where they come from.
I think that's how they're gonna. I think that's what they're preparing to try to trick us with, trick a bunch of people with.
I don't think a lot of these scientists are following the scientific method. None of this stuff has been proven through the scientific method.
I think it's
there's an experiment. Hold on, franchise. There's an experiment I want you guys to look up because people laughing. Oh, you flat Earth, you're so stupid. Go look up the Michelson-Morley experiment, which was an experiment in the late 1800s that they basically proved that the Earth wasn't spinning. And the only reason that we believe that the Earth spins on its axis at 1,100 miles an hour is because of Einstein's theory of relativity, who was a small hat, mind you. And he basically came out and said the reason you can't measure that the Earth is spinning is because things shrink when they speed up or something like that. At some point he made or stretch.
What does it say again?
Basically, they don't word it like that.
But no, what do you call it? Michelson, what did you say to look up? Michelson-Morley experiment. Okay.
And these brothers basically, and then there was another experiment where a gentleman in London, there was a 6-mile long strip of water, right? And he took now take in mind the curvature at 6 miles is 6 times 6, 36 times 8 in inches. Whatever 36 times 8 would be, which
should have been 32 feet below the surface of visibility. Yeah. However,
he shined a light, and it was literally the same. It was 6 inches. It was still 6 inches, 6 miles away. That's a problem. That's the problem. It's some stuff, and that's what I'm saying. I think the scientific method, there's scientism and then there's science. And what we believe, a lot of the stuff that these scientists who take in mind, a lot of this stuff comes from the Kabbalah. See, we don't know.
Definitely.
They don't tell you this stuff. See, you being taught Jewish. Small hat. You're being taught small hat mysticism. You don't even know it when you start getting into these movies, these Marvel movies.
What you call a small hat? Dude is crazy.
They giving you.
They gonna get them
being a number on us, and this is why I call it social engineering. We don't.
That's correct. That's correct. I believe that.
And that right there is really like. In fact, even when they talk about when they talk about monkeys being 98% with chimpanzees being 98%. Do you understand they're ignoring like millions of DNA helix sections where it don't match? And so yeah, once you get rid of those, then we're 98% a match to a chimp.
Yeah.
They don't tell you that. This is stuff they say out their own mouth.
Hey, Cat Williams said it best. If evolution was real, then there should be no monkey, because every monkey on this earth would have, when they evolved, would have started evolving, and they would still. It shouldn't be monkeys left. I don't care what nobody tell me. Evolution is real.
So wait a minute. So y'all do believe that they're promoting a doctrine even through science, through evolution? They're doing that for a reason. They got an agenda behind it.
Yes.
Oh yes.
All right, come on, talk about it. Talk about it, because you might be going somewhere right there with that.
That agenda is to deceive the people into believing that they're gonna come out. Me and Sub have conversations on the regular, and we had this conversation, and they're preparing people right now. All these movies and all this stuff that's taking place, they're preparing people to come out one day and have a spaceship come from nowhere, and these people gonna come down and say, "We the ones that made you," whatever they may be. This is what they're preparing us for. These people, just like y'all just spoke and said, that these people are uniting and doing all this stuff.
Is he saying something? I think that's kind of what
causes us not feeling the spin of the earth. Really. You need to look that up, brother.
That audio, you away from the microphone?
Look at the second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah, he stepped away. He had to.
Explain to me, brother, why you have a compressed air atmosphere adjacent to a vacuum in space and it don't just suck it off.
You know, we didn't hear some of what you were saying. You sound like you were away from the mic or something. Like you just walked back up.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. What I was saying was there are a whole bunch of things. Gravity, they don't even know what that is, brother. They don't even know what that is. So you really need to look at what they say gravity is. And they're saying gravity is so weak that a little small balloon can float up, right? So it's that weak, but then it holds us so perfect that a level won't even notice it while they're on a plane. I can show you D Marble's video. This bro was on a plane for 30 minutes straight. It had a level, and the level did not move. If the earth is curving under the plane, and the plane is going straight, because we know a hot air balloon can go up, then it shouldn't be able to hold that bubble in between those lines on that level. Then there was no way that nose on that plane has to adjust down because the earth is curving beneath it. Otherwise, they would have been 7, 8, 10 miles up in the air. So that tells you right there, there's something. What we've been taught, the very nature of reality, they are lying to us, guys. If you don't,
that's why they talk about the great circle. Like when they talk about planes flying, they say planes don't fly. The planes won't fly straight. They have to loop. They have to go around. And they said that's part of what I think aviation, they call it the great circle. Like you can't really fly straight because of the curvature of the earth. So they got to make loops. They got some way to explain it.
No. I'm talking about if you fly every few minutes. I'm talking about if you're flying at 500 miles an hour in an airplane. Do the speed and drop at the curvature of the earth. The curvature of the earth is whatever the distance is in miles squared times 8. If you go with 3 miles is 3 squared, 9 times 8. 4 miles is 16, 16 times 8, like that. So you think about going at 500 miles an hour. That means that nose has to bend every few minutes or you will be going up.
If you're going to stay level with the curvature of the earth.
I'm not saying I'm a flat earther. I'm just saying I'm leaning that way. But what I'm saying, guys, is
leaning that way.
Oh yeah, the Michelson-Morley experiment is a scientific experiment that really, up until Einstein, they was literally arguing this in the early 20th century in scientific magazines. They was arguing this stuff, right? And people, I'm talking about the scientists of their day didn't know for sure. And then Einstein came out with the theory of relativity, and now all of a sudden they tell you he's the greatest scientist of the 20th century, even though, Tesla and all that stuff.
Tesla was way better.
That's what I'm saying. And even Tesla didn't believe half that mess.
Yeah.
That he said. Tesla said these people that came up with stuff that don't even resemble reality. So we've been taught, I'm telling you right now, if it's science, they're using evolution, they're using science, they're using television and entertainment.
But then you also got to go back, Sub, and you have to look at the whole thing. The enemy is doing his job.
Let me ask you a question before I get out of here, though. What What is your theory? Why do you think they would be lying? Why do you think they would be lying? For what reason?
You really want to hear
The enemy is doing his
I need to hear
job.
this right here. I need to hear this.
I'm gonna give it to you straight.
Go ahead.
So this just me. I know a lot of people don't believe this. I'm a Christian. I have a faith, right? In my faith, I believe in fallen angels. I believe they came down here.
Okay.
I believe they did what they did. They were in lock. They were locked up until around 1929. If you go 70 generations, doing the math from what the Bible says and all that, right?
The Bible said it could have been 122.
Okay, but hold on, let me finish. So the point is, once that breaks free, what happens then? We find the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Enoch comes out, and from that point on, we start doing all these scientific experiments. All the things started really changing around that time. Okay. So I think what's happening right now is they are terraforming our society to basically come back. Because guys, you got to understand, if an antichrist, or let's say you're the antichrist, right? You're not going to say you are Jesus if you come back trying to deceive the world. You're going to have to literally fool everybody. You can't fool everybody saying you Jesus. You can't fool everybody saying you the great Mahdi from Islam. You're going to have to fool everybody saying that you are something that everybody's deceived with. Science can do that. Science is a religion right now. What they're going to do is, I believe that they're going to bring someone back. One of these fallen angels will come back and say, hey, I'm the guy that brought y'all here. He's going to do all types of stuff, signs and wonders. People going to believe it. And everybody in science, they're going to say, the first day he comes back, the first thing they're going to come back and say, Jesus was wrong. The Bible was wrong. That's the first thing they're going to say. Y'all need to get rid of these Christians. You read Revelations, what did it say they was doing? Killing them. Beheading them.
The science got a role to play.
Because in Revelations, they basically painted the Christians out. If you look at it, it makes perfect sense that this alien stuff is going to be what's going to do that. That's just me.
Can I ask a question?
No. So you believe the science are moving like prophets, like false prophets, but they like prophets. They put in the doctor. They spit in their doctrine basically.
They giving you stuff that can't even be proven with the scientific method, but people believe it by faith. They got folks so fooled in science. I rode in a car with a guy who's an electrical engineering major, and he starts arguing with me about space. And I told him, I said, well, look, man, I'm a computer science guy. But he just felt like, because he knows math, he thought he was just I have faith in science. He was just,
he can't be wrong.
He was an Uber driver. He got offended because I wouldn't believe his little stuff he gave me. And I started, because I had facts and data to back what I was saying and naming off experiments and dates and laws in science, he was offended. He's like, man, this is the problem with the internet. I'm like, no, I'm giving you history I'm giving you NASA website. NASA says that they lost the telemetry data to go to the moon. That's
how you lose that with all the technology you got? The phone we talking on right now got more power than what they went to the moon with, but you want to believe they went to the moon. Come on now.
I don't care.
Berean, what's your thing?
That was a race war. They had a lot of Soviets. They had a lot, so I don't mind if they ain't go.
Let me ask you a question. What's your thing? You asked that question, now I pose that question back at you.
He believe in the globe, I can tell.
What is that?
I believe you, right, Berean?
I said, Berean, what is your thing?
You breaking up.
I said you believe in the globe, don't you?
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah. I'm looking into the other stuff, but yeah, I'm with the globe. Yeah.
No, my question is, what's your stance on the fallen angels?
Oh no, I believe that because that's Bible. Even without Enoch. Because you know, the church don't want to bear witness with Enoch. Even without Enoch, I think it's enough to know that there's fallen.
How can the church not bear witness with Enoch as many times as it's been quoted? Jesus himself quoted out the book of Enoch.
No, church people don't like Enoch. Yeah, leave it. You talk Enoch on YouTube. They don't talk about Enoch. They be like, that's why they mad at me now. They be like, you stay away from them people reading that craziness. Enoch in heavy rotation on YouTube, but not in church.
That's not how I found it before I even looked at the internet. See, the Bible says he's a rewarder to those that diligently seek him.
And see that all of this stuff is problems because like this brothers will be in church bringing up just asking questions and want to beat dialogue and there's some things that we don't really do too much. As far as
which needs to be done.
Whatever like that. And this is stuff that brothers want to do. So brothers can get somewhere that they can learn, that they can build, they can throw out ideas and stuff like that. How they're viewing different things, and they get the chance, like you said, to do that maybe in other organizations.
Correct.
Because they'll get together, and a lot of them dudes, they'll get together and they'll build for 3-4 hours.
And if you got time to build, you ain't got time to be out here doing no other stuff.
You see that? So building is good, but a lot of times, people, we'll be in church, but we're gonna do other stuff. We ain't gonna, especially if you can't ask questions. It's a lot. So it's a lot that we got.
I'd have been escorted out of churches.
Huh?
I've been escorted out of churches.
Oh my goodness.
Guys on the truth, I've been escorted out of churches.
So we know that there's some people that they got beef and they view stuff differently. But the one thing I can say, I think like YouTube and different platforms like this could be good. It could be bad because people, spreading pseudo.
I'll tell you something. A lot of this flat earth stuff, a lot of the fallen angel stuff, I actually got into it from YouTube. I'll admit that. Rob Skeeble.
Oh yeah, I like Rob. I can't lie. Rob, all right.
Rob's a well-studied guy, white guy. I was like, man, this dude, that kind of makes sense. Let me go look that up.
There's another guy. It wasn't just Rob. It was another guy that got me too. He got his project is called Genesis 6.
Oh yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
All his books.
Yeah, that was another person. And then Trey.
Hold on, Mr. Logical. Why do we sound like we got on polyester suits and pimp cups, brother? Please expound.
He said what?
He said everyone on this call sounds like they got on polyester pimp suits and pimp cups. So
I got Timbs and jeans on.
Hey, I don't know what he's talking about. I got the same thing you got on, brother Berean. Yeah, polyester suits and pimp cups.
I could have joined if I was talking to some of my people. I could have. Matter of fact, I got to talk. I'm gonna call my tech guy. We gotta. When's the next time you going live? We gotta set something up. I could bring some of my people on too. We can both go live together.
Well, I'm just starting my channel. Sub-Zero just talked me into it.
I'm not teaching class right now. I just ended class last night. I'm gonna be going live tomorrow night, sharing my screen with my students, showing some check stubs and talking about what it is I do, trying to get the students out there, get them involved in database development and business intelligence. So,
how many other nights you go on?
I really don't have anything to do right now, but I'm developing my course, getting it ready. I was working with a brother today. So, and guys, this is the thing I wanted to bring Berean on. Berean is a believer, but Berean is the type of brother that I respect because he ain't one of them type of believers. He's just gonna let you say something crazy about him or his faith, and he's just gonna sit there and take it. Class will start on the 21st, but this brother ain't finna just sit back and take it. And
back on 24. Oh, so you on for a couple days?
Yeah, I teach that. He asked me a question, I was just answering it. That's why I brought him on here, because I'm a little bit more ragged around the edges than he is, but still, I respect Berean, man, because the brother, y'all saw he was spitting fire earlier when the brother was. I went ahead and kicked that brother out because I felt like he was being disruptive. I don't feel like he was really asking any real substantive questions, so I put him on timeout.
Oh, timeout ain't bad. Yeah, I don't even do that. They come over there Berean TV. I just let them talk. They reckless. They got side conversation.
Yeah, I just got tired of reading the comments. I feel like he's being kind of disruptive and just insulting.
Yeah.
It got personally, started talking about people cussing. I said, let me get rid of him.
No, okay.
But I don't want that, you know what I'm saying? So, guys, tonight has been great. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. I'm glad.
Guys, let me say this.
Work it out.
If you're a believer and you listen to this video, guys, Berean, when he go live, the brother should be getting some money thrown his way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say this like, oh, he come with the passing of the cup. No, this is YouTube, guys. This is YouTube. You got people up here complaining and whining about not getting supporters, and they telling black men not to do this for their families and not to care about the community. This is a brother that cares about the community, that's in the streets doing things for the church. You know what I'm saying? Doing things for the people, for the communities. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see people support it. I supported the brother already. But guys, like I said, I want to see people support, because I went on there, I was like, man, it should be, because I see people go on YouTube and just sit and watch TV and get $300 thrown their way. And I'd be like, this dude ain't even saying nothing. Why? I mean, he done got $300-400. I haven't monetized my channel because I don't care. Let's be honest, guys. Some of the stuff I said, if I was monetized, they'll probably delete my channel. You know what I'm saying? But Berean, man, I'm telling you, this has been an honor and a privilege to have you on my channel.
And I'll definitely come back on, man. And y'all come through. Y'all know I'm over there at Berean TV. And we try to go live. We try to go live 2 or 3 times a week, and we get into some heavy stuff. We got classes coming up. We're gonna deal with Freemasonry in the church, Freemasonry in the country.
Before you go, what did you think of the pastor from? What's that guy you got into it with, franchise?
Which one?
The one with the beard that kept. Man, I studied, man. I studied. Remember the guy that did the video?
Oh, I can't remember his name.
The guy, he out of Philly, ain't he?
Where he at on YouTube? Where he at?
He had a video.
Oh, Cesaria.
Who?
Is that Cesaria? Is that the one you talking about, Bill?
No, it was
about
the
the cousin.
He used to be a pastor, and then he made some video to my. He studied, and he realized.
Oh. He real big. Oh man, I can't remember his
Ray
name.
Hagen, Kevin Wesley.
Kevin Wesley.
Oh yeah. I know him.
That's who it is.
He was a youth pastor. Yeah, I know him. I chopped it up with him a little bit. So maybe we'll talk later on. He never got back with me though.
They don't want to.
No. A lot of them dudes, they wasn't even really, pastors and this and that. But I don't blame them.
That's like somebody that the church just. That's one of the problems I do have with the church. We just delegate folks. We don't vet people.
Oh man, talk about it.
Don't. Like, you just put somebody in charge of the youth. And this dude, I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? And I'd be like, man, come on, man. Golly, man. Y'all just gonna put this dude in charge. And this dude is out of order. He didn't see that. Obviously, the dude wasn't a real believer. I don't.
Yeah, but sometimes you be wanting people to get up there. You be showing them volunteers. You happy somebody willing to do it. We don't really train them. And the church is the only place you can go to and call yourself a professional without going to school getting a degree. You ain't going to no doctor, no dentist just read a few books and watched a few videos. You want them to go to school, but in church it's different. We just say we got the spirit and we start getting up there talking, and we may not even know what we're talking about.
I've seen it. I've seen some of the craziest stuff.
I have a question for you, Brother Berean.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get, because this is why I'm so honored and I'm excited. Like when Philip told me he got in touch with you, man, I was like, oh, what? Man, I was overjoyed.
Hit me in that email. I be having those classes. There's some classes that we be having. We just have free classes, and some are private classes because it's too much rec to talk about on the internet. But there's some stuff that we get. We go in on the internet, but them private classes, we got that Sunday seminary. We have private.
That's what I was asking. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find out about that Sunday seminary for a long time.
We really go in and we hit some heavy issues and some heavy questions. And like I said, in there we go in there, we vetting memes, we dealing with some other old videos, we dealing with anything that come up that people would deal with modernly, or if I'm getting questions in the week from pastors and all of that stuff. So we go in, we deal with a whole bunch of stuff. We steep in the Kemet Freemasonry, we dealing with a whole bunch, that Rosicrucian mess and just vetting all of these memes about the Bible and all.
I almost became a Mason, so I really want to.
We do it all. We do it all. So so just come through, man.
So is Masonry bad? Would you say that it's a bad thing for a believer?
What?
Masonry.
Oh yeah. In the church, in Orthodoxy, we speak against it. Even the Catholic Church spoke against it for many years because it teaches a naturalism, and we believe that it was influenced through the Illuminati later on in this Luciferianism that came down through Pike, and them said it came down through Nimrod. We believe the Watchers, the Watchers taught that, and that was the religion. They taught that to their children, to who we call the fallen ones later on. But there's people that's arguing in the conscious community that it's a good thing, it was a pure thing, and white folk took it either through Pythagoras that was given from the Egyptians, or that the Moors brought it to Kemet, brought it from Africa and gave it to the Spaniards and the Portuguese, and that's what whites ruled with later on, and they corrupted it. Some people believe that. So it's different theories. One of the problems that make it so hard is because nobody really know where Freemasonry come from. They say the builders, a cathedral. Some people say it was on the ark with Noah in them, Enoch in them. It's been around from the beginning. It came from heaven. Adam had an apron. God gave it to Adam, and Adam's children, Cain and them, took it and did something. There's so many theories, But all of that stuff, we explain all of that. But
I'm definitely gonna be emailing them about that Sunday seminary.
Deal with it. Christianity don't deal with it. We stay strong. but there's a lot of people that are
Kareem,
in there.
you mind if I just give franchise your number? He can
Oh
text you.
yeah, sure. Yeah, and my my email. Everybody can hit me up, berean@gmail.com.
Definitely, because
Yeah, y'all hit me in the email. We can answer some questions, and we got different classes tailored for some things. You know, dealing with the conscious community, dealing with Freemasonry, dealing with the church, dealing with the Bible coming up out of Africa, talking about where did the Bible come from. A lot of people don't know how the Bible came together, so we build on stuff like that. It's not one book. It's a library of book that came together over 1,600 years. So we got to explain how this book where this book come from. A lot of people say, I don't read the Bible because the Bible from man. Every book is from man. Shut up. You're talking crazy. You know, we got to explain stuff like this to people. Don't be laughing, but we got to explain.
Hey, man, you bring that fire.
And we just try to show them why we believe what we believe, you know. All right, brother, I'm getting out of here. My wife's driving me crazy. She called it for me.
One good question I want to ask you. Let's say you have a believer, they're young, they getting hit with, they getting bombarded with all these memes and all this different stuff. What books would you advise a believer to read to help them become better grounded in their faith? One of my favorites was Lee Strobel's The Case for Christ. But what book?
Oh man, there's so many. That's a good one. But I like I think a new person can deal with evidence. It depends on what area. Evidence that demands a verdict. You know, that's a classic. Josh McDowell. Evidence that commands a verdict. I don't have a Frank Turek book. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. That's a good book right there. If it's dealing with Africa, I'm definitely going to go with Thomas Oden, How Africa Shaped the Christian Mind. He brings up a lot of history, and he even checked seminarian students and professors for not teaching enough African history. You know, Christianity in Africa. When we hear about Christianity, for the most part, we can't be mad at some people in the conscious community because we hear Christianity just spreading in Europe. We don't hear about how seminaries were first in Africa and stuff like that. So I recommend that book right there, How Africa Shaped the Christian Mind. That's good. There's another book we was talking about that, What Your Atheist Professor Don't Want You to Know. I forget the author, but that's an excellent one, dealing with physics and science and evolution. This professor don't want you to know. That's another good one too. It's a few of them. But if y'all hit me in the email, I got a list. I'll say I got a list of 30 or 40 books, and it broke down into different subjects. For people, some people they want to study the Kemetic thing, and they want to understand primary sources, how to.
Do me one more favor, because I got a master on my channel, so I like to try. Can you just kind of dabble into the Council of Nicaea? Because people think they pick the books of the Bible at the Council of Nicaea.
Council of Nicaea had nothing to do with no books of the Bible. That's daggone. That's Valentine, and that's Phil Valentine and Ray Hagen. When we deal with the Council of Nicaea, we got to deal with Socrates' book. We got to deal with Eusebius. We got to deal with the letters of Athanasius. We have things that's known as the primary sources. They have the description of Constantine walking in with only a few bodyguards and his head was down humbly. We have the minutes of the council. These people are reading books that came 200-300 years later and dealing with conspiracies, but we have the writings of Athanasius. He was one of the main guys that had the beef with Arius. The whole thing was, it was like regular Christians beefing with Jehovah Witnesses. They were beefing over something called homoousios. Is Jesus the same nature as the Father? Did one day God make Jesus and then Jesus made the world? Everybody in the Nicene Council believed Jesus made Adam and Eve and Jesus made the planet. But the question is, did God make Jesus one day, or did Jesus exist always with God? What is the relation with the Father and the Son? That's what the Nicene Council was about. And Athanasius, and these are all people beefing in Africa. They was beefing in Africa. And when the word got out,
where were they?
They were beefing. All of this was beefing in Africa. When you deal with Athanasius, he became a bishop later on, but he was a deacon of Bishop Alexandria from Alexander, Egypt. There were churches, majority of good-sized churches were set up in Africa. So this other guy was teaching Arius. He started teaching that one day God was born, and then God made Jesus, and then Jesus made the angels, then Jesus made the world, Jesus made Adam and Eve. And then when Athanasius and other people heard that, they said, no, that's not what we received from John. John says in the beginning was the word. They argued through the Bible. They said, no, the word always existed. The word was Jesus. He always existed.
So what you said is you can read the meeting notes, just like in any corporation meeting. You can read see specifically what was said at what time, who said what,
and
what.
We have the exact, that's right, and we have the exact minutes of it. And then we have the 20 canons, the result, the things that came from it that they spoke on. And they were upset with them. They said, well, you can't really teach that God made Jesus one day. It was, it's not the end of the world. But these people are saying that they argued, and that's where they got together to meet, and they invented Christianity. How can they invent Christianity when in 313 Constantine lifted tolerance? You can't rape a Christian, you can't kill a Christian, you can't take a Christian's home anymore. That means Christians already existed if Constantine gave the Edict of Tolerance in 313. Then in 325, he had the Nicene Council. After that, but way before that, we have the anti-Nicene fathers. We have church fathers that talked about Jesus being our God and our Savior.
Don't you have like on the writings of like, I know it's like about 30 or 25 different non-Christian contemporary sources of Christ.
Yes.
People was writing about these folks that wasn't even believers.
That wasn't even believers. So when we talk, it's a whole bunch of information, but a lot of people, it sounds better when you watch Hidden Colors. I like Hidden Colors too, but they on there talking reckless. And only thing you got to do to shut them down is, let me go to the primary sources and see what they say about on what you call it, as opposed to Anthony Browder. Let me see what they say about the Nicene Council as opposed to Anthony Browder. If there's a contradiction between me, Dr. Ben, Anthony Browder, the main thing that a researcher is supposed to do is say, let me go read the primary sources for myself. And then they'll go Google it. Because if you read a book will tell you that they invented Christianity there. If you Google it, they'll tell you that. But you have to Google what are the primary sources for Nicaea. Then you'll start going from there. The guy that we call Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, they were arguing. The Bishop of Myra, they were arguing. He slapped Arius. They got into a big argument. That's the guy that later on we started calling Santa Claus. He was one of the rich bishops that were there. There were bishops from all over. So we know everything that went on there. We have that. And that's nothing. That's nothing. That's even in secret. But when you start watching Hidden Colors and listening to Sinetta and them, they got a whole new spin on it. But everybody, I can't be mad at them because everybody respins history or an event. You see the book of Revelation, the whole thing, W.D. Fard, he switched it up. And he said that's on the Isle of Patmos, and Revelation on the Isle of Patmos. That's when Yaku invented the white man, a big head scientist. They put a spin on it. That's what we call revisionist history. They're making history up, and they're changing it around from what the primary sources tell you. They're giving you a new history, and most people do that when they're going to start a new religion or they're going to start a new movement. That's how come in a lot of these movements, we got different myths. We got myths in the Nation of Islam. We got myths. We got the 12 tribes chart. We got myths that people make up because they want to promote a doctrine. So they mix myth with history. That's where it get a little bit confusing. You could get some more people that Friday night if y'all want to get on, and we could build, and I'll bring some of my people on.
Yeah, y'all need to go rock with Brother Berean, man. With Brother Berean. They call me Pastor. Like we trying to
Ain't
joke.
nothing wrong with that.
Hold on. They be like, we finna get our morning sermon. They be going in.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. If it's in you, it's in you. It's in you. That ain't no big thing. But we can definitely, y'all can get me at BereanTeach@gmail.com. We can definitely get back on Friday, Friday night if you want to get on Friday night, or y'all hit me if y'all want to hit me. Berean Teach, like I said, I got a team. We going hard on Sunday seminary. We're gonna get into some good stuff. Some Christians like me, some don't. They be like, "Oh, are you shooting down the church?" Oh, they love when I'm shooting down Sinetta and them, but they hate when I start on that church. But everybody got to get the business. Everybody got to get it. We all not perfect.
I ain't never heard you say nothing that will make people. It's almost like you go give it up. It's just that you got to critique stuff that's a problem. I mean, somebody
got to critique.
A pastor getting paid $700,000 a year is a problem.
It may not be a problem if he's writing books. It may not be a problem if he got 30,000 members. He's running a corporation. People, that's another thing. A lot of people don't know. A lot of these pastors ain't saved. They just running this thing like somebody running a corporation on Wall Street. You know, to leave this one church.
I don't know a guy like a TDJ. TDJ got film production companies, all types of stuff, right?
Yeah.
The pastor of the church, and the church pays his salary, and his salary is $600,000. That's what I'm talking.
A lot of these churches are paying good money because they're following charismatic figures and they want them. Who else besides that brother that's in Atlanta right now, Jamal Bryant? Who else could have took over that church? You could say what you want. They were paying Eddie Long what they was paying him because he had built it up from 300 people to 15,000 or something like that. People follow personalities too. So they were following his personality. So they know no matter what, listen, we got to keep him. He's the CEO. He might have made a baby. He might have did this or that. We got to keep the show rolling. Of course, this thing is a show. So that's the business side of it where it's kind of, a little troubling, but it happens.
So last week, rapper T.I. got upset with Pastor Jamal Bryant. Now, you told me something on the phone that I agree with.
What?
About T.I., who has sold and talked about selling poison into the community and probably sending thousands of black boys to jail, right?
Yeah, that's right. And his kids going to school.
Jamal Bryant done work in these streets.
They paid to bail people out of jail. All them people that they got out of jail, man, listen, ain't nobody gonna never forget that. He coming in the neighborhood and he's putting in work. That's like I said, we got to weigh it out when we start judging these pastors. He a Freemason. He made a baby in the pulpit. We got to weigh it out how much their church and what they're doing in their neighborhood. What he did is wrong. What David did was wrong. But they're doing, sometimes the people that's speaking against them ain't doing nothing in the neighborhood compared to the people that's actually, falling into the sin or whatever.
And that's the
thing, people, and they're not doing nothing but talking. Oh, he ain't holy, he ain't right, he ain't this, he ain't that. But at least he did something. At least he's doing something.
That's the thing, guys. A lot of these rappers and celebrities are just spewing a bunch of conscious mess on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram, and then these guys are being projected as leaders, like Nick Cannon. Somehow they made him a leader. Nick Cannon he's just saying all types of mess, just feminism, and I'm like, where this dude going? But we don't. I think that's the issue. I think we've gotten away from that. Dare I say, old time faith? I know religion is bad.
No, that's good. No, I understand.
We've gotten away from it, and I think what's happening now is you're seeing the outshoots of it. Because get away from the church, it's gonna break and scatter in 50 million directions, and that's what's happening. Get away from the church. You got people like Nick Cannon. Who am I to tell Nick Cannon he wrong once you leave the church? Who am I to tell so-and-so he wrong?
That's right. But who made Nick Cannon a spiritual voice for us? T.I. I hear Chingy online talking about chakras. He don't even know what he's talking about. I hear Chingy online all of a sudden because you sell 1 or 2 albums. You're a spiritual guru now. Stay in your lane. You ain't been doing this. Stay in your lane, and a lot of people not in their lane. They figure because we see them on TV, they're good at everything. Because they hear me talking about Kemet, don't mean I can tell y'all what to do with y'all finances. I'll mess your money up. Don't listen to me. But because they see you got a YouTube channel, they think you know everything in every area. And
Brother Berean, you 100. That's all I can say about you. You definitely are 100.
We make a lot of mistakes, and we gotta be careful with that. But we're gonna we could build on that stuff this week. I'm gonna get out of here, brothers. It was so good.
All right, I enjoyed that thoroughly. I really enjoyed it.
I definitely did it. Like I said, if y'all want to get in touch with me at BereanTeach@gmail.com, and we're on Berean TV YouTube channel. Check out some of them videos, or y'all can hit me about that Sunday seminary. Grace and peace. I see Sister Smith up in here. I see some of the team up in here. They always coming through. They always support. Durable goods. A few people, I can't lie, said some good stuff. Said some good stuff in here. I cannot lie.
Honestly, I think one of the things when I got to YouTube, me the way I am, I'll be like, man, maybe I shouldn't say what my faith is. But I notice when you say that, a lot of times people looking for that. People looking for people that are not afraid to say they got a church. They're looking for that. Even though I will admit I'm not perfect on my channel, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna hold his line even if I'm flawed. You know what I'm saying?
No matter where you, that's right. And even the most, I believe God even respect that, and people respect it too. Be like, yo, that dude, he keeping it 100. He ain't perfect. He just see that. He just let us see that he got another side. But this is what I believe, and this is what I stand on, and this is my testimony and blase. And God will honor that. People need to see more pastors keeping it 100, more people keeping it 100. I tell people straight crazy. Listen, I got crazy, and crazy is right here with me. Don't think because I'm quoting these scriptures, I ain't got no crazy with me. And people they'll appreciate that more. They want to see, they want to see some authentic stuff. They want to hear some stuff as opposed to just, people pontificating, looking down upon them. So, just speaking condescendingly. Well, you need to do this, you need to do that. Sometimes it's safe to say, yo, I understand. That girl came into office. She said, Pastor, I'm going to kill that nigga. I said, Lord have mercy. She done used the N-word and everything. All up in church, but she was upset. He was cheating. He made a babe. And I'm like, it's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. People were upset. She came in the office hollering and talking like that. I said, ain't nothing wrong with that. Who? I know Christians that get mad and they cuss. Sometimes people get mad and they cuss. Let's keep it 100. I have done it myself. But Christians, they say, you don't supposed to say that. People looking up to you, don't say that. So I don't know what, I don't say the right stuff that you're supposed to say. But to be honest, I think we need to keep it 100. These younger millennials, they're looking for authenticity. They just want you to be like, yo, if it is what it is, just say what it is. And more of us got to do that.
Amen. Amen.
That's
it for tonight.
Thank you, Brother Berean. I got it. Bless
I appreciate y'all. I'm so glad I could build with y'all for the night. I'm going to get out of here. Let me check out this other stuff. God bless everybody.
Good evening, brother.
All righty. Have a good evening.
All right. See y'all. Thank y'all for being on the channel. This concludes tonight's broadcast. Franchise, you got something?
Man, check me out on my new channel, Fear974. That is with the 4 spelled out. I'll be bringing some content just like this, man. Just some general content, just everything. Feel free to subscribe. Man, look forward to bringing some good content to you.
All right, guys. I will see you at my morning drive. Doing my usual thing in the morning. No, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Some days I don't know. I don't have anything to talk about. I ain't gonna go live, or so stuff just come to me and then I just go live. You know what I'm saying? If I feel like it. But if I ain't got nothing, I ain't gonna go live and just talk crazy. So y'all have a good one. I will see you guys. Thank you, Corey. Thank you to all my students. I will see you in review. Saturday, 11 a.m. we're going to review. And then Tuesday, we're going to review. We got interviews on Saturdays and Tuesdays. So that's what I'm going to try to do, reviews and stuff too. So y'all be blessed, man. God bless y'all. Good night.